And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Quantum Show. Ghost Month, Ghost Hunting. First hour was a mind blow. Let me tell you. I'm back on using the thing here. Okay. Welcome back, Tim. Mod Tim. Links have been passed out. Everybody who wanted one has got one in their Raven should be coming in. Shadow should be coming in. Joe and Lynn, maybe Frank. Links have been passed around. And uh, if Keith wants to come in, I'll send him a link, but he's usually wiped out by now. So tired that he doesn't do shows this late. And it's understandable. But links have been passed around. Now, everybody, give me, yet again, we know the deal, right? Let me have sound check, please. Let me get a sound check. As soon as I hear that sound is okay, I will take that banner down and run with it. It's not going to be as good, I don't think, because I'm back on the headphones, the headset. And let me get a sound check, please. How do I sound? Talking about ghost hunting. And I reiterated my cemetery story, which I'm mostly recovered from the retelling. Okay, sound great. Good deal. Excellent. And welcome back to the show, Diane. Glad you liked the first part. I saw someone, I think you left a comment, right? Was it you that left a comment? Yeah, that was you. It was you. Right on, Nathan. Hell yeah. Thank you, Diane. It helps the algorithm. Doesn't make me any money anyway. I did not get a chance to get coffee. I set the break too short. But that's okay, right? I'll be taking a break as soon as other people show up. Actually, people will be showing up. I'm going to go get some water because I've been drinking coffee all day and I just have to. So I will be right back. Let me put a banner up here that says "Be right back." And just be right back. Just give me. All right, let me just do this. And here we go. Yeah. Means be right back. Watch for activity. Okay, and I have returned. I got water. I didn't take the time to make coffee because I just don't want to take away from the show too much. Alrighty then. 2000, almost there. Okay. Uh, yeah, party it like it's 2000. Alrighty then. Sound check. Good. Still good. I hope so. I'm going to keep going. While we're waiting for people to show up, I will just talk about y'all that had been of all the stuff, and I have been in contact with aliens and psychics and cult members, chased, well, maybe not chased, but been around bears, a tiger, a sniper, and that has by far been the freakiest. This possessed girl. The possessed girl was inside the girl. Yeah, she threw dude across the room, but she didn't come out of her. He didn't come out of her and manifest in my face. Cindy said she had to mute my show because she was freaking out. Let me tell you, Cindy, you ain't lived, right? You ain't lived until you do something like that. Mm. And okay, yeah, all the links have been sent out. And if Keith wants a link, he can ask and I will do it. We got Joe coming in as soon as he gets his devices connected. Alrighty then.
Hey, Nathan, I always want to point out something. When you say Minutemen, you're talking about people who, the people that are watching you should be aware that you're talking about people who act like Minutemen did, and not literally people from 1712 when it was disbarred.
Right. No. They were acting like that. They were the people who, and Lynn is coming on, Lynn Ann. Let me see, devices get connected. I think it's a server thing. Yeah, they were soldiers. Hey, Lynn.
Hi. How are you?
Better now.
Did you get some coffee on you?
Didn't get any coffee. I took too short of a break. It ran over. And I did get water. I got the water going on.
That's probably better for you anyhow.
Right now it is, because I've been drinking coffee all day long. And I'm okay with the coffee. But yeah, these were
farmers.
Did y'all?
Farmers and that joined up in a minute, when they needed to become soldiers. Yeah.
Right. Lynn, did you hear first hour, right?
Oh, yes. All of it.
Okay. That has been the experience of all of them so far. Okay.
That was the
nothing else.
Wasn't it?
That was the tip top of everything. And hey, Edgar has come into the chat room. Go ahead.
Oh, Edgar, bring pancakes. Anyway. Hi, Edgar. Hi, Diane, Timothy, and see, that's about it so far. So, yeah, I heard everything that you said. I've heard your story. Do you know how I know that it's absolutely genuine?
Tell us.
The emotions attached to it are absolutely genuine.
I wouldn't want to have that happen to me. And those emotions are not pleasant ones. The memories are not pleasant. But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I would not want to not have experienced that retrospect. It was...
Yeah. Nobody I know that's ever encountered a paranormal experience was left feeling nothing.
Right. And
it's always very profound.
Oh boy, I can give a quick recounting, but if I start remembering any of the details, I get like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, if I just say had ghost incident in cemetery, I'm okay saying that.
Yeah.
But if I go into the detail of the guy showing up, the blackness, the blurriness.
Yeah. Well, you were genuinely traumatized by it. And that's the experience that anyone who's had a traumatic experience comes back down to,
Yeah. And I wouldn't want to have not experienced it. Even though it was what it was. It wasn't someone trying to hurt me. It wasn't someone hurting me. And it was It was a tag
Yeah.
team between whoever those guys were, whoever was in the other side of the cemetery, and my spirit guide saying, "Stop, stop, stop."
Don't make us knock you on the ground.
Right.
Too much energy expansion. It's our guides are here to make certain that
Hmm.
that we are safe,
Yeah,
from
and
the outs from the world behind the veil.
right, and I know they normally don't take active parts like that, how
No,
they
they don't.
influence us to do so. But see, I was in her world at that point, and I don't know if the
Little
same
reality check.
things apply.
What's
Huh?
that, Joe?
I said a little reality check.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Welcome everybody
But
to the chat. Sorry, I'm not ignoring anybody. We're
yeah,
just discussing. It's the panel. Hit like and subscribe if you're here. Your quantum. You know it.
it
Looking at
just
you.
goes to that, don't it? You know,
Hmm.
it's not an experience you will ever forget. I mean, never. You
Never.
know, if you have a number of them, keeping them keeping them all quantified can be something of a file box, but
Right.
you know, uh, depending on how intense it was, is how and your reaction to it, because
Hmm.
you'd seen some things ahead of that. I won't say minor because none of that's minor,
Mm-mm.
but
But yeah, I've seen some stuff, right? And of
yeah,
all the stuff, that has been the freakiest one. And I don't get freaked out. I don't. I mean, if it's a tiger, yeah, monkey brain. Bear, monkey brain. This was
yeah,
different. This was way different than any of those things. And
yeah. You
and
know,
I have,
it hits you. It hits you down where your soul lives.
hmm and the fact that Xena came in actively participating in this tells me I was the rules didn't apply, you know.
Not the physical ones.
Mm,
Never
right.
had my guides involved in a full scale thing like that before. Although they've been there, but not involved like that. You were in severe danger. So was LaDonna.
Adana, yeah, she was
Adonna.
Adana.
Yeah, she was in, oh my god, bad danger.
Yeah, I told her, you disappeared. You were not there. I could see the lighted fields through the trees out there, but right where I was black, and you were not there. I was looking for movement. I was looking for a figure standing. There was nothing. I still, to this day, I am like, did I imagine this? Am I making this up? Am I
No,
craving attention or anything? You know,
no.
I
That's not who
the
you
skeptic
are.
in me, right? The skeptic in me says, "What would I think of a person that came to me like that?" But then I remember what actually happened. Edgar, uh, you can send me pictures. Yes, did you? If you did, great. I'll get them after the show. If I can check my messenger, I will. But I don't. Uh, Edgar is referring to
Hmm.
the ghost, the fire at the DeSoto Hotel in El Paso, Texas.
Right.
There's been so much controversy over that particular landmark. Of
Hmm.
course, downtown wants to renovate and you know be a modern city. And on the other hand, there are those who say, "Hey, wait a minute! These are landmarks that can never be retrieved."
Hmm.
So, are they both correct? Not necessarily. Are they both right? No. But
Right?
they're still trying to strike some kind of medium is not working out very well. And I
Well, I don't
believe
know
the
why
man
they. I
who
mean, they
owned the
have been.
DeSoto, uh,
Mhm.
I guess he was sent to jail over some sort of unpleasantness, empirical unpleasantness. And anyhow, he's he has no more money to fight this thing. Although
The
the
city put
landmarks.
$1.2 million into its rebuild.
Hmm. I would think they'd want to continue and keep that going, but again, it caught fire and it was a pretty bad one. How are you going to renovate that? I just don't know.
It reopened. Well, it's scheduled to reopen February of next year.
Oh, then they proceeded.
Yeah, the city
Terrific.
gave the landlord $1.2 million to help him rebuild the, the hotel.
Okay. And of course, the alligators that were downtown have long since moved along.
Well,
Mm.
that
They
was
somebody poisoned them or something,
no
killed them.
junk GI shot them all.
Oh,
Okay, hold up. Alligators downtown El Paso.
Yes.
yes,
What happened? I do
have
not
been
know
for
this story.
years.
Well,
Have been for years.
yeah, and they were in
Not when
at
I
a
was
pond.
there.
No, that was you were there after they had been killed, but not long after. And there is a statue in their place now.
Oh, okay. Well, I will have to bring up a picture of that statue because I don't remember even hearing about that. But that must have been a long time ago.
Well, I was there. Okay, shut up.
Boy, did he stutter? Yeah. I know. Dry up over there, Mooney. It, you know, the war and soldiers and that sort of thing always have a great deal of emotion around them. It's part of the reason why they manifest so easily. But because that emotion is still there, it never
Mhm.
stopped. They're still seeing that occurrence the same way it was. It's I've been on a couple of battlefields before I knew I had this sort of gift. I sort of avoid it now, but had gone down to Fort Bragg, Georgia, and they have a museum there. Fort Bragg is on a old plantation that was
Mhm.
commandeered by the Union Army, and when there was battles being fought around it, it was a field hospital. The bottom floor of the plantation house had been turned into a hospital. Now I didn't know that when I went into the museum. My sister and her husband were stationed there, and she says, "Oh, you need to see this museum." And walked in, and that thing that you're talking about between worlds, right? Yeah, that happens. And I I've had it happen a number of times in my life. The Daring Circle seems to be pretty normal. But
Mhm.
anyway, we had gone around the museum and begun to smell things. terrible things. You know, I know what that smell is. And I stopped my sister and I said, "Do you smell that?" She goes, "What?" And I said, "Well, it's coming from in there." And we looked out there, and she and I both saw the there was people in beds below the floorboards. Well, that's weird. And I'm just staring at it because I mean it was in motion.
Mm-hmm.
And people carrying water buckets and bloodied rags, and of course it's not a loud screaming, but you hear it in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of like you were talking about hearing him talk to you in your head. And
Mm-hmm.
I looked over at her and I said, "You see him walking below the floor." I said, "That is strange." She says, "What else you see?" And I explained it. And she says, "Do me a favor." I said, "Sure." She says, "We'll discuss it when we get home. But I don't want these kids scared to death." And she was referring to the guards at the door, you know. And I said, "Yeah, I can keep still about it. I have no compulsion to talk about it." So I went home and I explained it. She goes, "You don't understand." She says the floors were so bad that what they did was take the floors completely out of that building and put them back in a foot up after they had vinegar watered and disinfected it as much as they could. No reason for me to know that the floor had been changed. That there we were, It was strange. And, we were talking, some of the people in the chat room were talking about cursed objects. And some of the objects in the museum uh, have things haunting, snooping around them, where someone's uniform had a hole in it. You know what I mean.
I do.
And it was quite interesting. I have seen the the artifacts from Lincoln's assassination when I was in
Mm-hmm.
Washington D.C. And it may have since been moved to another museum. I don't know, but I have seen them. And the we always look at that top hat as being like a silk hat, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't. It was sealskin.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
should have known that.
I think I might have been 12 or 13 when I saw it. But the the stains were on it. Of course, they couldn't get the stains out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting how things will attach themselves. Now he hadn't attached himself to that hat. No how. He was long
Mm-hmm.
gone. But it was interesting how the event stayed with the object.
Yeah. That
Sometimes,
uh, goes right into the stone tape theory, and that's one way of putting it. That all these things is everyone here familiar with the stone tape theory?
you might just want to go ahead and explain it.
Okay. All right. The theory is now this is about stones, but it's not just stones. It's any material. The stone tape theory says that the energies of an event can stay in an area absorbed by everything in the surroundings, plants and trees, the stones in the road, everything like that. And
It's
that
like
is the
a record
idea of it.
player has music in the groups.
Right. Right. And it's energetically done. So that forms uh, the feelings that happened in an area can stay in an area and kind of be like a residual haunting where it's not a conscious being there.
Like the
It's
like the sewers of Paris,
right, the
Yeah.
where
catacombs,
they would literally see the Roman soldiers walking through because
walking
that used to be
through.
street
Right.
level.
Hmm. They built up those catacombs years and years later. And right, exactly. Actually, I think that's exactly where the stone tape theory is originated from, was the catacombs of Paris.
Okay.
And
I
by the
wouldn't be
way,
surprised.
you can't go there. And I got a funny catacomb story, even though I've never been there. It's a quick one. I was
Okay.
watching. I was
It's your
watching
show. You can do
the
what you want.
these girls were remote viewing. They were doing a reaction video, but they were remote viewing by putting their emotional selves to there, right? And I had just started verbally talking, well, verbally, mentally talking to my spirit guide, and I was still getting accustomed to it. And I said, in that way we talk in inner dialogue, right? I said, huh, maybe it would be neat to go to the catacombs. I hear Xena right here saying, do not go to the catacombs. I'm like, okay. It was one of
You
the
can get there,
inflexion moments.
McKeanig. It's like other parts of our craft, Nathan. If it's okay to do something, but can you make it stop?
Right, right.
What was
like
it? Some
like
50
like a little
vacuums later?
rainstorm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or 50 vacuum sweepers later.
But yeah, we
Hey,
have
hey, hey,
gotten,
hey, hey! I asked you, "Are you
Mhm.
sure?" And you said yes. So
But we have established, we've gotten less vocal. So, but the messages still get through. So that's good. We've established a better rapport where it's not just yelling at me and stuff, where she's not just yelling at me all the time. And she's still
Well, words are
all
not
around
always
all the time.
adequate.
Nathan, whenever I yelled at you, you turned a deaf ear to it. If I talked in a normal voice or even a low voice, you listened to me. But I yelled at you, it was bye.
Not having
It's just
that.
one of them things. Just one of them things.
You
She
know,
no, she doesn't, huh?
it's like when you're parenting someone. When they're little, it's like, holy Christ, don't do that. And you rush to them and make them stop. You know, swinging on the chandelier or whatever it is they're up to. And
or
as
not
they get older, you don't have to yell at them as much.
or not seeing the psychic barrier and walking right through it. I'm going, we haven't opened that so you could go get the meal yet. Go get the feast yet.
You'll feel better if you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my learning times that way, but she just got right in my head, right next to me and says, "Do not go to the catacombs. No uncertain terms." It was like I was like,
Well,
"Okay, I won't go because I could.
I
I
think
could,
you
but I'm
I
not going
think
to."
you need to look at what it is you were considering.
Mhm.
Precisely what. You're thinking
Right, and
about
that
going somewhere in the astral where it's very obvious that that It's a cemetery, and it's a
Hmm.
huge cemetery, and it's centuries old. And
Hmm.
there's there's souls upon souls there. And then, not necessarily souls, because we I think we have a pretty solid idea that we don't stay in our physical body at all.
Right.
But those residuals are energetic, some of them,
The
and
people
some
who
things that
had
are attracted. I'm sorry.
right, the people, the two girls that were there, remote viewing it, they said
Yeah.
there are guardians, and there
Hmm.
are a couple of demented ones around there, but not very many. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Well, there are things that are attracted to such places.
hmm,
Then are may not be of a human origin and never have been.
right,
Yeah,
and
You know,
I'm
they have that soul cube on the moon.
they have what?
You don't know
Please?
about the soul cube on the moon?
Oh yeah, I know about it.
I'm gonna look it up, see if I can find a picture. I can do
I'm
pictures
not sure
sometimes.
precisely what that is. I think we've never talked about it specifically.
I'm trying to look it up right now.
No, there's like I was saying, that the streets of Paris were built upon over and over from the time of the Gauls. The earliest of Celts, and that ritual and all the rest of it has been there. And ritual has its own residual. It's residual blessing in some cases, residual curses in others. Depends on what the guest of honor was supposed to do at the barbecue. But it only makes sense that there would be a hodgepodge of human emotions and energy still there. We look at something that only happened for a series of years, and like we'll say Dachau, that only happened there for less than a decade, and yet that's interesting.
That is the. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit. This is from the Chinese
Yeah, but
uh,
it
rover.
was known about
Hopefully, y'all
before
can
the
see. That's
Chinese
all.
did.
That's the only thing I got that isn't an artist rendition.
You might try the Y files.
Okay, so
Maybe the one about the moon is hollow? Question mark. I think he mentions the beings that are thought to have put the soul cube on the moon, and then China goes and finds it.
I'll have to check that one out. Y
Well,
files.
here's the big question: what's it supposed to
Okay,
hold?
It likes negative energy from human beings. It feeds off of it.
I have heard of something like this. One of the star seeds early on that I started listening to is saying that it was collecting uh, horrible deaths, basically. That there was something on the moon collecting horrible deaths,
And it
people
likes
who
to
die in
instigate.
bad ways.
It likes to instigate those deaths.
So is it semi-conscious, or is there somebody operating it? Do you think?
It
Because at
seems
this
to be
point,
somebody operating it.
Or is there
Remember
something
when they
imprisoned within it
right, and
that,
remember the hollow moon theory?
yeah.
okay, let me see.
Oh, I also put up the
Because
thing
that
about
is
the
the only
alligators.
thing I have for that I can think of that I've come across.
Oh, there's a bunch. There's a bunch out there, but I would try the moon is hollow ? On the Y files. I think he covers it there. Not extremely well, but
Okay.
more than what we've covered it here.
Mm-hmm. I would need to research that a little bit.
That might be
I heard a
interesting
beat.
to
Was that
get
somebody over?
some.
Was that one of y'all?
I didn't do it.
What's that?
We heard some sort
Okay.
of
I heard
um
a beep.
like a computer beep. Yeah.
Wasn't mine. Hi,
I
sight
heard a
monitor. How
tone.
you doing,
Oh, I've done
Scotty?
attracted somebody attention.
Ooh. Ah. Oh.
Of course they're watching. Hey, any agents
Well, I
listening,
need to.
like and subscribe.
Yeah,
Because
hurry it up,
apparently
would
you're
you?
quantum too.
Yeah. Hey, everybody! I love to tease those guys, but uh,
We don't have enough money
of
for
all,
pizza.
not today. Maybe next week. But they too, everybody who makes their way to this show belongs here. And if the site monitor
Mm-hmm.
happens to show, he belongs here too. He probably got more stories than the rest of us.
Oh man. So that's the stone tape theory, dialing it back a little bit. That's the stone tape theory
Okay.
where an area absorbs the energy and it's like an imprinting and it
I've seen that.
replays
I've
those
seen
things.
it happen. I've seen the
Mm-hmm.
replays. And I had
That's
gone
the way we're.
ashore as a youngster at, at Gettysburg and Antietam, you know, and truly thought there was some sort of reenactment happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wasn't nearly as developed then as I am now. So I kind of avoid that stuff. But, we live in the desert Southwest here. And there's a great deal of things that happened here, that are energetic, I guess might be the
Oh
way to
yeah.
put it. So,
Yeah. I've gone over the ghost place on Hercules Avenue, the old trading post. I've gone
Edgar
over
Park.
that one.
hmm
Yeah, that's it. I've gone over that one, and that was so cool. That was so cool
That was
that there's
miles away
people
from
there.
town. Remember, at one time that was miles away from town. That was the last
Yeah.
stage stop before you got to El Paso. You'd stay there
Mhm.
overnight so that you could rest up and get into
Yeah.
the city.
yeah,
And now it's 5 minutes by car.
Mhm.
yeah. I think when we're living the modern, like Joe's saying, we have no idea how long it took to get from point A to point B. It's a regular occurrence in this area for a stagecoach to get robbed or a train or a
Mhm.
bank.
It was the Old West.
Yes.
It was
It
right
was the
there.
last of the Old West.
Mhm.
The New Mexico Wars.
Or the
Where,
Salt Wars.
yeah.
Salt Flat Wars, right?
Right.
hmm
That's when the Rangers got kicked out of El Paso.
There's so much history right in that little area.
Oh, yeah.
So much. And I have a Fort Bliss story. I think I've gone over it before. I was
Which Fort
in
Bliss?
processing. Huh?
Which one?
Which Fort
The
Bliss?
the new Fort
The
Bliss, the
one
one
near
that I went
McDolphin?
to.
Not where the Love Boat is
I was
it? I mean the new hospital.
No,
no.
that was out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I was in processing, and it's a multi-story building, the transitionary, the receiving barracks, and
501.
I was there, and it overlooks. You know the little museum display, the outdoor museum display. Shadow is coming in, and they have
The
it's over
cavalry
by
one
Colonel's
or
Row
the
and all the
rockets?
headquarters buildings.
Okay, that's the
The
cavalry one.
not the
Okay.
rockets, not the rockets,
Yeah, that's the cavalry one.
the cavalry. And okay, now I still have never been able to get clear on this particular detail of the place, but I was in those high-rise barracks, and I was looking down just one day. I was in processing. It takes like a week, and I was looking down there, and I saw what I thought were two statues of horses. Okay, in the display. So I thought it was just two horse statues because they have a nice display of the mounted cav from back in the day. There's a stable and a little building and a bunch of walking places. And in the stable, what I saw were two statues of horses. And then I went back another time and I actually started working in that area, and there was only one horse there. And I asked everybody around there, and I can't get a straight answer even now. There was only one horse statue. And I can't get a straight answer. Where's the other horse statue? So I'm pretty sure that horse was manifesting as not stone tape theory, but the horse itself, because it was a display. It was right where it would be, standing on one of the things you wrap the leads around, right? And standing right there next to the horse statue. So I'm pretty sure that was the actual horse spirit, because nobody ever told me it's got taken over here, it got taken over there. Nobody could ever tell me that. Okay, welcome to the show, Shadow. Welcome back.
No worries, guys. I didn't want to interrupt. I'm notoriously guilty of doing that. I hope everybody's having a great evening.
It is, yes.
Yeah, I've been
Thank
listening.
you.
I just I had some other things I had to do, namely devour a slice of banana cream pie. So
Was that Davis on his
Oh
horse
yeah.
that you were looking at?
What was the what?
Was that Davis on his horse that you were looking at?
No, there was no one on the horse. It was just the horse.
Oh, so
Hey, nerd.
so
what's up, nerd?
I thought you were. Never mind, because they moved the Davis statue there for a while. And
Okay,
his
well, no, this was
beloved,
another horse. I
yeah,
thought there were two horse statues, and everybody there
Would
said,
have,
"No, we've only ever had one."
yeah, they
I'm
would
like,
have
hold
had
on a
would have had
second.
a statue of him on it if it were the Davis horse.
right. He was with his horse, not Mercedes. Yeah, Mercedes. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's Mercedes. His horse was Mercedes.
I don't know of it. Well, I'm not familiar with that one, because see, I was busy working. Now I didn't have a chance to actually look at the stuff that was the museum, and then I never got a chance to go back.
And I'm of the opinion that people see paranormal things on a very regular basis and simply don't realize what they're looking at.
Oh yeah, and it's like in circle. We get a new person in circle. They don't see the energies that that those that have been in there for a long time are feeling and seeing.
Where they see
Okay,
him and
this is
scared
definitely,
silly. That happens.
yeah, the horse statues that I'm looking at here are not what I saw. This horse was just stand. Wait a minute, no, that's at UTEP. The one at Fort Bliss, he's riding it, and it's like a statue in motion position. Correct?
Mm, somewhat. I think he's come to a standstill, and they can put a Texas flag in his hand.
Okay, because the ones I see from Fort Bliss, he is in motion. Let me just hold it up to the. This is the Buffalo Soldier statue at Fort Bliss. Is that what you're?
Yeah, and he can hold a flag.
Okay, that's definitely not what I saw. Okay, this statue was not
Yeah,
of
that
a
one
in
didn't come
motion
until.
statue.
Yeah, that one actually, now that I think about it, didn't come about until right around 2000.
Okay,
Because
and
they got somebody complained that that whole museum, there wasn't a single Buffalo soldier shown there. And Davis was one of the famous ones. In fact, there's a fort named after him, Fort Davis, up in Fort Davis in the mountains there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is definitely not the statue I saw. There was no one mounted on it, and the horse was standing there, just standing, not walking, prancing, nothing like this, standing there. And there is still one
all
there.
Dusty gray? Was it dusty
It was
gray?
brown. It was so far away. I think my mind plugged in one brown horse statue, two brown horse statues, because I remember it being brown, but I couldn't. I was about a quarter of a mile away, so it was really hard to.
Yeah,
to
bronze,
see.
brown, close enough.
Okay, well, that's what I saw, and no one ever said. They all said I don't know, because I couldn't get anybody who actually signed off on anything to talk to me. Like, who would sign for that statue? But another, still in processing, I would look down, there's only one, and the other one was gone. And later I asked, whatever happened to the other horse statue? And they're like, what are you talking about? There's only ever been one horse statue, unless you're talking about that one. And I'm like, no, or over there, or at UTEP. And I'm like, no, at the display on Colonel's Row, where the Cav Museum is. They're like, no, there's only ever been one that I know of. Maybe they moved one. And, non-answers. That was the only answer I ever got. That's what I saw at Fort Bliss. That can the earliest one, because I hadn't even finished in processing yet by the time when that happened. There may be more. There probably are more. I just can't remember them right at the moment. I went looking too. I went looking all over the place. But yeah, they wouldn't let me go to.
If it was a statue with a rider, it would not have been a whole horse. The rider's position would have been open into the, excuse me, into the statue.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Where it would fit, where it would fit into the statue. So it would be secure.
Right. This was not like a part of a double, like it never had a rider, but I could only see the back and side. And only part of the side, I saw the top of it.
Too. Why didn't it have a rider? What was the point of it?
Well, this particular display was just showing where they parked their horses, where they kept their horses. And
I see.
It's still there. As far as I know, it's still there. It's part of the Cav Museum. But there were never two horses. There was always one. And Tim is saying Mandela switch. However, I don't know if it wasn't an actual ghost horse showing up that I was able to see. He might still be out there. I don't know. Haven't been back in years and years.
Well, the bronze cavalry horse
But
at Fort Bliss, um, he still has his saddle. I don't think it showed. I remember for sure. It didn't show the bar where you tie him up at.
yeah, that always tripped me up too. And I might be remembering that part wrong, but let me see.
It would be interesting if it was the Mandela effect. And we've caught a couple of them just ourselves. Jiffy peanut butter comes to mind.
Oh yeah, good mothers use make breakfast in a jiff with Jiffy peanut butter. I remember
Yeah,
that ad.
yeah, I do too, and that's what's weird. And yet there's they swear up and down it was never Jiffy.
It was Jiff.
I remember Jiffy. I remember Jiffy too.
There was Jiffy popcorn, but this was something else entirely.
Right.
So
This one
yeah,
is at
I heard a new one the other day about I'll be home for Christmas.
yeah,
Instead
what
of
is it?
I'm trying to remember the exact thing now, but one of the words there, I say, I'll be home for Christmas. If only
you can count on me.
you can count. No, you can wait on me.
No, it's you can count on me. It's always been you can count on me.
Right? I remember it that way too. But
So another one?
yeah,
I need to leave that alone. It's dangerous.
hmm Yeah, these things, I imagine people being driven crazy by them, the Mandela effects. Because I would be if I didn't know better. I figure I know better. I can't find, I found Fort Clark and it looked a lot like this one. Okay.
try Fort Riley's. I think Fort Riley had an identical one.
This is what I found right now. And it looked a lot like
Yep,
that
yep,
one.
yep. That's exactly what Fort Riley's one looks like too. Except
Fort Riley
his head,
did come up.
the head is down on Fort Riley's.
Right. I did see Fort Riley come up too. And let me.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lyrics right now. The first lyric says you can plan on me.
Plan on me, right?
Uh-huh.
You
And
can.
about 3 lyrics down, it says you can count on me.
Okay, good. Then we remember that one right.
Thanks for the idea, Justin. I don't always think of these things. I thought, just we're sitting here, let's just do it.
Yeah.
But,
Some lady had that on her Facebook page, and I was going, "What the heck?"
I think some people just do that just to annoy the rest of us.
Fort Riley.
Yep, the head is down. Yep.
Yes.
And that's
And
the
it
way
looked.
Fort Bliss one was.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I remember seeing. But it was in the little museum. But there were two of them. And I could have sworn I saw the tail swishing. But I don't know.
Whoa! Statue with its tail switching. Okay.
I didn't know it was a statue at the time. I thought it was a real horse.
People do that all the time. They go up a Tiburon, and they shoot the plastic deer and somebody's running hard. It was moving.
I'm
That
sure
happens
of it.
here
I
too.
saw it.
That happens here too.
Did we chase Shadow away?
I don't know. He's on mute. Maybe someone called.
Maybe.
He tends to get a phone call every now and again.
You ain't just whistling Dixie. Yeah. I had a call, and I had laundry in the dryer that my dryer doesn't stop. It'll just go on forever if I don't grab it and get the stuff out.
Oh.
So yeah, I know, right?
Oh,
So I had to take care. I was doing two things at once.
Multitasking.
Yeah. What's up, Justin? Long time no see. Justin and Nerds Nerd were in my show just prior to this one. We had a nice chat. Of course, Nathan came by to visit as well. It was a really good show. They're all the really good shows. I mean, you got great people.
Who is that gaming minister? Who is he? Is he a real minister, or was that a costume?
No, he is a real minister. He's a friend of ours, lives in Canada, and he and his kids play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and his show is centered around the adventures of his children's adventures, and then he'll come and tell the story of what happened, and he does other things like crafts and stuff like that. He's
That's
a really,
cool.
really
I remember
awesome
when
guy.
D&D just started. It was the Devil's Workshop.
oh yeah.
Mhm.
Gosh, they were just having a screaming fit over it.
And Justin, it was banana cream pie, and it was delicious.
It was, and you ate it all by yourself.
Oh no, I just had a slice.
Why
I got to
didn't
share
you-
around these parts. I got two boys that dang near devoured 3 pizzas between two boys and myself.
Oh, you were lucky to get any at all.
Hey,
No, I got it first. Mama didn't raise any dummies
maybe
when
we
it
got
comes
to
to
make that teleporter so we can get that pie.
Keith is swearing I can
Lemon.
make a portal runner, but I'm like,
Hey, you guys brought up something. I didn't want to change the subject or anything, but Joe, you were talking about the Y Files. I really liked that show, or I should say, I really liked the first half hour of that show, and then he comes on and tells us why we're all idiots for having ever believed anything that he's ever talked about. And if you guys haven't noticed, if you look carefully on the show and look at the book that's underneath Hecklefish, that might be a little bit of an eye opener for you.
Well, there are some times that he leaves some of it alone.
Very, very true. But I know for a fact that there have been topics that he's talked about that he just got the wrong information or whatever. But
he seems to be a skeptic. And
you know what? He seems to be as an actor. If you've ever watched his after show, he's a completely different person. I mean, completely different person. And I've seen him on other things, and they're not the same guy. So, still a good show.
So
It definitely makes me
persona.
laugh, and he does
So
he does
he
all the
pretends to be one person is actually another.
Yeah, well, that's what actors do. And you know, I'm
Yes,
assuming
I'm aware.
that the guy we see in the live after show is the real him, but he does really good research into a topic before he then, you know,
he's got a staff, if you haven't noticed.
right. But I mean, when it comes to the research, whoever they are, they've done their work. You know, that's why he only does one show a week. But you know, just I'm not gonna take his show as gospel, nor anybody else's, considering how long I've been in this game and done my own research. You know, there's only so much research you can do in a week, no matter how many people you have. And folks like us, we've been doing the research for decades. So I guarantee there are things that you can't find anymore that we've stumbled across, you know, from time to time or way back when type of thing. So if
We're
you guys,
experienced.
right. I don't really know that he's done any episodes on like on topics we're uh, more familiar with, or things we talk about more often than the individual, historical events. Let's say we're more day to day, whereas he moves from a subject to a subject. He's not going back to an old topic where we will or we have.
Mhm.
That limits one's ability to research severely.
Right, which is a uh, because you know there have been many a skeptic who have changed their minds drastically.
Yeah, put him in the right situation.
There's a place I want to go to. Rebecca the Ghost Guide is there. I'm putting it on the screen right now. It is another Revolutionary War port and train town. I want to go there. I want to visit. They call it the Hollywood of the South. I don't really know why, but they do movies there. And I want to go check. I had
This
to.
area is getting to be more and more uh, rife with movie types.
Yeah, and they like to shoot each other.
Oh, that's just up
Hmm.
south, up
Mhm.
north of here. It's
Yeah, I got to be a bit rusty with a gun to do that.
see what Eastwood's shot 2 movies here, and another one is shooting one right now, or about to shoot one. They're asking for extras. So if you're living Las
I
Cruces
think
and have kind of aspirations,
Tim, to your question, I think a lot of people have done open source spirit boxes. The first one was called the Shack Hack, if y'all are familiar. There was a certain model of Radio Shack radio, digital tune, where if you removed one part, it would stop the auto tuning and it would just scan from end to end and go back
right?
end to end. It wouldn't go sweep back and forth, but it would go all the way through the AM or FM band. And I've seen this one guy in England. He's an American living in England. He takes a radio and just goes like this with it. And I'm not real good on Ghostbox because it's verbal pareidolia, audio pareidolia.
Right,
You kind of hear what you want to hear, and
right.
we hear things that we are familiar with. So I'm not sold on a Ghostbox that sweeps frequencies like that.
Well,
Are y'all
I'm.
familiar with these things?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, I saw. There's a YouTube video which I thought was very interesting. The guy had had a recording and asked everybody in the room what it said, and they all said the same thing. Then he said a phrase, and then listened to it again, and it was his phrase that he just got finished saying. And then he changed
Right.
phrases,
Power
and they
suggestion.
listened to it again. And yeah, so yeah, unless it's the spirit speaking directly to me about something I know and can verify, I don't trust them.
Right. Oh, yeah. There
yeah.
is one way to use one of those things. Okay. And I heard about this on Hellier. It's called the Estes method. And it's not a person named Estes. He was in Estes, Colorado. And he was doing this. Here is a rundown of how you do it. You get one person that has the headphones on, blindfolded. Basically, they don't have any sensory input except for the headphones, okay? And what they normally do is that person stays in a room and he listens, and this person is being recorded or broadcast, and he or she reports whatever they hear, while in the other room, and he it's supposed to be noise canceling, right? And in the other room, the people are asking the questions and trying to get responses. And that has been the best way to use a ghost box, because the person can't be led by the question if you're right, and the other
Right.
person doesn't hear the response until they look at the recording or are watching that person.
Well, that's a good blind.
So
Yeah.
that's a good method. It's a good method. And Nerd is asking, I haven't even read the question yet. Nerd is asking, why would they only be able to communicate across different frequencies, and what are the odds that they only speak on the frequencies we pick up AM, FM? That's a good question. Okay,
Yeah,
those are
Nathan,
good points.
Nathan. Okay, go ahead,
FM.
Joe.
Good. Okay. FM is notoriously hard to make. You have to modulate the frequency. AM is easy. All it's got to do is change intensity. It's amplitude modulation. But FM, you know, I'd really question any spirit voices coming across FM.
Yeah, probably.
Nathan,
You know,
I'm sorry.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
You were listening to Raven's show with Grimm. What did you think about his dad's, discovery, and
The EV.
what frequency would that be that he picked him up on?
I remember not being able to pick up anything that I could hear. But at the time, I didn't have these headphones. I had my speaker, and it's like just a speaker, okay? I remember, and when I listened to it over and over and over, I was trying to hear it. I couldn't hear anything. All I heard was distortion.
I meant when she interviewed him last week.
Oh,
Not even how Grimm's dad was recording, just so he could hear things, not trying to pick up ghosts. Way back a long time ago, Grimm's father had a hearing issue, so he had a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and he was recording things. We got to have him on to tell the story. But what did you think?
dude, I missed that show, and I haven't been able to go back and listen to it again.
Oh, I thought you were there just last week.
I missed that one.
Oh,
I might have popped in, but I was at work, and I may have had. have to go back and forth when I'm at work. I can't sit there the whole time. I don't get to listen the whole time.
Okay, sorry. I thought you did, because Raven said you were there, and I was on a show myself while it was happening, so I was like trying to listen to it while I was on a show like this. It would be like me trying to listen to her show and then put the mute button on and listen. So I only caught the tail end of that show. But if you guys haven't checked it out, it's on 1-2 Radio. Rathan and Grimm to see, or was it Grayson to see? Our buddy Grimm. He comes into the chat from time to time, and we've got to get him on the show, because he was I'm not gonna say a professional ghost hunter or chaser or whatever, but he did do all the things that they do, except charge people.
Yeah. I need to go rewatch that in its entirety, because I was having to go back and forth. Yeah, that's just work. That's just work. And the link is up. I'll go check it.
A few years ago, when we were still doing our show, one of the other broadcasters had a man on with Ghost Box, and at the time and still, I just can't see that working on a reliable basis.
Right. And why would they only be able to do that?
Yeah.
There was a guy on Ghost Adventures, okay, a while back. This is years ago, on Ghost Adventures with Nick Bagans, right? He would be
Zach.
their
Zach
inventor.
Bacon.
Zach, yeah. Nick
Zach.
is the guy who bailed on him, who got fired. Long story.
Yeah, I remember.
And there was, I don't remember the guy's name, but he did a laser setup one time. And that's not a sound frequency. It was a light frequency. He was doing, it turned out that it was a work in progress and they never used it again. But it was a laser where they were asking the things, the spirits, to interact with the laser. But it didn't really work out so well. But they can do all frequencies, not just AM, FM, or not just sound, all frequencies.
You know,
I mean,
I
my
took
cemetery story.
everything that came out of that particular show with the salt shaker full of salt, and you
Right.
know, it.
Me too.
I think one of the biggest biggest mistakes the person can make is teasing a spirit. I
Yeah,
think it's a
taunting,
really bad
bad.
mistake because if they
Yeah.
get that kind of energy moving, you know, yeah, you may be finished, but they may only have just begun. You know?
Mhm.
Only just begun.
Yeah, well,
Edgar
you
is
know,
bringing up some other
people
stuff.
somehow make a person who is passed into a saint, and you know, people are what they are, whether they are alive to be what they are or dead to be what they are, and that doesn't change. So the person doesn't get sweeter just because you're on the other side. If anything, they get more cantankerous.
Bitter.
Mhm.
Big pardon?
Yeah,
I said bitter.
Edgar,
Bitter,
yeah, bitter.
angry. And if they were that to start with and they die that way, there hasn't been any change in their existence to
Right. They're just
to
over there
sweeten them
bitter and
up.
angry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Edgar is
Well,
saying,
and
well, how about
if,
VH? Oh, go ahead.
how about what? VHS
Sorry,
and
I'm just
UHS.
I'm
I
just
think
moving
that
along.
was
That's all.
mostly the poltergeist things. I do.
There was one experiment that has been set up. What this guy did was he took a continuous loop of CCTV, right? And it wasn't
Hmm.
online. It was using an old school CCTV security camera, and he turned it to static. And he was watching the static and creating a feedback loop between the screen and the camera. And
So there was no signal other than that camera.
there was no signal. Right. It was only static being seen by the camera, being displayed on the screen as a feedback loop. And
Well,
what they did was
I have
they,
to take exception to it because you know we kept in my mother's house we kept hearing music. Nobody had a radio on. Nobody was listening to radio. There was nothing there to pick up a radio. The they had a classical organ. It was quite large that literally picked up sound on its speakers and was playing it.
mhm,
And those television sets could do the same thing. That you didn't have to have it
mhm,
tuned to a frequency or it's not what I mean, a channel or a anything. Just it being there.
Russia
Yeah.
used that very principle on a spy bug that they put in at the embassy in Moscow. And it was totally passive. But what they would do is go outside and provide a frequency against it, microwave frequency against it. And the echo that came back from the device was the voice of the ambassador. So there are a lot of physical things that we don't know yet that might also explain this. And who knows, the barrier between life and death might also have something like that.
Well, Russia has done so many experiments on that very subject that we have no inclination
Yeah,
about.
but let's get back to the visual. I'd like to learn a little bit more about the visual one. I somehow skipped that one.
Okay, okay, now that's what now this CCTV was not using a broadcast signal. It had an internal signal, right? It was on a wire. There was no broadcast from one to the other. It was on a
Yeah,
wire.
but it had its local oscillator, and that
visual.
was it, right? It had just its
Right.
local oscillator for
And-
sweeping the picture back and forth, and that was it. Okay, go ahead.
Right. That was all it had. And the person, they set up a TV over here and a camera, and it was 3 or 4 feet away from the screen, just enough to get the full, as much picture as they could. And you would see it interrupt itself. And it wasn't, I mean, it's a visual feedback. So you can imagine the weird stuff going on the screen. And it was like kind of going down at an angle like that sometimes. Okay. They said they saw silhouettes formed in the static and the blackness for really quick amounts of time. Not full figures, nothing like that. But they saw, and they would move around like you'd see someone do this, and you'd see someone raise a hand or something like that. And it was being shown on this independent video that was videoing both of the things. And they were showing the camera and the thing and the screen so they could say, look, we're not faking this. We're not doing this in freeware or video editing software or anything. And they showed it was screen displaying what the camera was showing, which was static on the screen. And they created a feedback loop, and they were seeing shadows and figures and things appearing in that screen, in that image. The only recording that they were doing of this one that I remember watching was from the independent camera that was kind of at an angle back here. That's what I saw. It's out there to be shown or to be looked at. I will try to leave a link after the show since it came up. Okay.
I really, being in electronics, that's really really questionable and really strange because a lot of things can appear instantly on a screen, and
right. It had no, but the thing is, it had no antenna, and it was a pure video feedback.
Yeah, but feedback produces harmonics. Harmonics can create all sorts of strange things. So
it's the same with audio. It's exactly the same with audio. It can also
with
create
audio,
the
you bring
same
them together,
types of
you get this whine. You've heard it. You've been in an auditorium.
It occurs to me that it would be, well, basically like watching clouds and picking out the bird here and the face there.
Right.
Pareidolia.
Yeah.
Right.
That's now the strict.
But with them only occurring in an instant, that's another problem.
Well, the brain's still trying to make sense of it.
Right.
Excuse me.
Right. Same thing with both audio and visual. And I am going to go ahead and get coffee. So I'll be right back. Watch for ghosts.
Okay. We will.
I'm sorry I'm questioning this so much on a technical level. I know that a lot of people would rather just accept it, but I've always been the techno pagan, just like Frank.
Yeah.
You gotta show me something that I can't reproduce, and I can reproduce that so doggone easily.
And that's the reason that I question a great deal too, is that we have some pretty energetic conversations here about uh, how can we reproduce this particular uh, happening? Can we reproduce it? Is it a matter of spirituality, or is it just something odd off the chart?
Yeah. And the odd thing is, a spell that works for me, let's say it works 5 times in a
Mhm.
row. I give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
It is a dud.
That's why spell books always have puzzled me. But how do their circumstances are quite different than the individual who's reading it. Although if you get the basics of it, sometimes you can make them go.
Well, also, there's one critical thing to all spells.
Hmm. Right.
The shadow. The one critical thing is need. You don't need it enough. That's the reason I don't usually do spells for somebody else, because it's their need, not mine.
Right. It requires a certain amount of
Psychic energy.
psychic energy, but investment.
Hmm.
You know, if you're invested in the outcome of the thing and things are riding on it for you, you're going to be far more involved. It's going to mean something to you to put that thing together. You're going to be far more careful with it. You're going to be more precise with it.
Careful, me.
All right, the average individual who needs that spell, is
Yeah, I'm the one where Rose went, the damn techno pagans, as her puffer fish blew up. I she asked me to start fire, so while nobody was looking, I put a small ham radio behind the fire thing, and then ran a little amplifier to a Estes rocket fuse, and I took the material out of the Estes rocket and put it in the cauldron. And she says, okay, do fire. And the pufferfish looked out the outside of its tank and went, it was a week before that thing went back to normal.
I can see that by my eye. Holy cow! No,
And she still
there's a
liked me.
certain amount of there's a certain amount of theatrics involved in what we do. You know.
It's theatrics to help suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
But
Because
that
if
was
you can get
fun,
the belief going, you can conjure up just about anything.
including fat pufferfish.
It's when your puffer fish starts floating out of the water and above the water that it annoyed Rose.
That didn't happen.
I'm teasing.
Okay, Shadow looks serious at something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was getting a message on one of my other devices. Yeah, it's been a really busy day, non-stop.
Any harm we can do for you? I mean, help.
I mean, is there anything we could do for you at all?
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. No, everything's good. Just this time of year is always busy for us. We do a lot of things, and I've got another mouth to feed now, so there's those issues, but it's all good. I'm actually in a pretty good mood. Like I said, no complaints. Then again, if I had any, you would listen, right?
I'd listen, but
We
I
listen,
guarantee
probably laugh
you.
at you, but it's okay.
What are friends for, right? Right?
We laugh with you.
Yeah. As long as you're not laughing and pointing, it's all good. I get enough of that from Justin, right, Justin?
Dude, we've all been there. Where things have just, you look at it and say, what the hell happened? And how did I get in the middle of this bonfire?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's not go back there. Okay, we can do something other than bonfires.
Okay.
You know what I mean by that one.
Yes, I do. Been the guest of honor at a couple of barbecues.
Real quick, nerds nerd. I've got a list of the classics that I'm always going to refer to. That starting with Silent Running. You know what? I'm just going to type them down in the thing here for you.
All
Okay.
right, now we should quit blaming him for everything. Oh, hi, Nathan.
You left this unsupervised. It's not our
Right.
fault.
So did anything happen while I was stepped away? Anything this time?
Oh, we talked about the puffer fish at Rose's house.
Okay. Well, I meant on my screen, but okay.
No. Actually, I paid attention. No, I didn't see anything
Okay.
this time.
No, Nathan, you got that thing behind you, and
Looks
know,
like
it's
somebody's
like-
crawling through there.
it looks like kind of like a gremlin wearing black. No, the other way. Turn around, all the way in
The
the
other way.
corner, all the way
It's
in the
white.
corner.
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, well, it looks
like it's crawling out.
It looks like a little gremlin wearing a white shirt with gray pants and suspenders, wearing black sunglasses, a yellow horn, and green pointy ears. Anybody seeing that besides me?
I see the white, and it looks like
now-
something crawling to me.
Now
Yeah.
you pointed it out. I do see it.
It looks like a little kid size.
Oh, and up above, yeah, I can see that.
There's like the white shirt, like doing like this, one leg's hanging down, like a big green nose, wearing black sunglasses with a little white reflection, a yellow horn on one side, and the ears poking out, and a little bit of a mohawk. That's what I'm seeing.
leaning
It's a
against a picture.
Right. leaning
Okay,
against
now
the-
for this, I will use my laser to point out what each one of those things are.
Okay, make us feel dumb.
No,
Yeah,
this is a good
hey,
example
hey,
of
hey, this
See,
pareidolia.
even nerd sees it.
This
It's a
is
little
just
freaking gremlin.
this just proves what we were talking about, like on the
Yeah.
screen and that. It just proves.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Your
so
mind's trying to make that work, and I can't do it either.
A little
Yeah.
further
Right.
up.
That
go
is a-
up and you get the head. Up. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
There's the head
What
with
is
two
that?
eyes and there's ears.
that is the tail fin of a C-130 toy. Okay, of a C-130 toy for action figures,
Mhm.
and this is a C-130. Okay, this is
And what about
a
the two
Pringles
things that look
can.
like eyes?
Where?
Yeah,
Two things
there's
that look
two.
like eyes.
Yeah.
Just a little bit below and just a little bit below. You went too far. Go down
here?
a little. Go
Just a
down.
little bit.
Down. down.
Yeah, it's
Not up.
reflecting off the eye.
Oh,
Right there.
Right
oh,
there?
Okay,
Yeah.
I see two eyes in a different direction.
Me too. It looks
Okay,
like a
now
bandit.
up there, that is a Y wing with two guns facing forward, and that it's sitting on top of a plastic bin. This thing, see how
Go a
handy
little,
this thing is? Oh man.
go a
Huh?
little, go left a little. Whatever that black thing is with the white dot in it, that
Yeah, what
to
is
us
that?
that looks like sunglasses on a gremlin with a little bit of light reflecting off the sunglasses.
Right there?
Who was
No,
that critter
Oh, no,
you
a
didn't
little more
see
left, a little bit
after
more left.
midnight?
left
Toward-
it down just a little.
Move it down a little bit and toward the picture frame.
There you go. Just a little bit
Uh,
down below that. Just a tiny bit. There you go. Up right there.
That's one of them, and then there's
Right
the other
there?
one.
Yeah.
A little more
Okay,
left
that
is the
is
other
an
one.
art. That is an okay. I got
No, and he's gonna go mess it up. He's gonna touch it, and it's all gonna be.
I'm
Now
not
it
going to touch
changed.
anything,
What the
right?
hell?
Now it changed. No, it's a
No,
white
it looks
monster.
Oh, that yeah, you can't see nothing with that.
What's
Huh?
that critter
That's
that you
really
didn't feed after midnight or didn't
Yeah,
water?
gremlins. They were gremlins.
Gremlin. It's a gremlin? Okay, that's what it looks like.
One of the evil ones, right?
Yeah.
Not the cute little fuzzy
Talking-
mogwai.
No, this looks like a little rotten
right there.
gangbanger, you know?
Yeah, a little bit down.
Okay.
You have the eye.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
And then if you go to the left a little bit more, there's another thing that looks like an eye with white and black on it.
okay.
Your other left.
That is
Your other
silver reflecting. Oh, what?
Okay.
Right here?
Your other
Other
left.
left. Your other left.
Toward the picture frame, down a little bit, and left more. You see that black spot that's a little to the left of that
Keep
with a
going.
white dot in it.
Oh.
Right
yeah.
there.
Right there.
Yeah, that's the sunglasses.
That is
Yeah.
actually a face on a Pringles can. The logo at an angle.
Well, that
Okay.
sure proved our point, didn't it?
Now, you got this thing
Pareidolia
that,
at work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now you look at the whole thing, and you get the what Shadow described. But look down at the bottom, which would be the pants for the whole thing, and it kind of
That right there.
down.
Further.
The white part
Right
is
there,
the shirt.
that white there, right there,
there.
it looks like the head of something, and then it looks like it's got a paw coming out here to the right and one to the left.
Do I want to know?
What is it crawling out from underneath there? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll never be able
That
to
is a-
see that again.
Okay. That is a bag envelope from Amazon Prime. It is white with blue marking, and it happens to be at an angle where the bottom blue is kind of looks like a separation. Okay, but right here is a thick blue line. This is the side of a box top. Okay.
Looks like a head.
Okay.
With two eyes.
That
Yeah.
you see the pointer right there?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That is R4 in 12-inch scale. Okay. Yeah.
I never thought I'd be
This-
traumatized by an Amazon box, but here we are.
This is a plastic bin with a tube in it from something. It might be paper towels. That is an R2D2, again, 12-inch scale, upside down with his feet sticking out.
His feet make the white of the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I love
Boy, did we just prove our
pareidolia
point.
right. And
And
you know what? Let
inadvertently
me
at
see if
that.
I can. Let me see. I'm
Oh,
going to take a
see,
screenshot.
now it's all.
I'll bring y'all
Oh yeah.
back in a
see?
second.
Oh, you messed him up.
Oh man.
I didn't touch anything.
No, I know. The illusion's ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't unsee that one.
There's a bunch of junk. Oh, no. When it's smaller, it looks.
It looks like a little
make it
gremlin.
larger,
Hang on.
we can
Thank
see it's a
you.
bunch of junk. But when it's smaller,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little gremlin. That's green gremlin. That's what
You know, somebody was looking through the camera one time when I had it poking over further this way. Let me just grab it because I don't want to re-angle the camera. It messes things up.
I gotta
I'm
paint
gonna
that
write.
soon,
I'm gonna write Amazon a letter and tell
Soft.
them that they
A
have
face. And I was like, that is a
traumatized.
face. This is a big Disney toy.
Wow. Can I see a
Oh, wow.
profile
It
of that?
is a face. She was like, oh my God, there's a face behind you. And I was like, yeah, there
Can I
is.
see a
It's this
profile of that?
thing.
Let's see the profile. Nathan.
Oh, that's great.
Profile, Nathan. Oh well.
But she was getting all upset.
Hey,
I was like,
dude,
oh,
we
chill.
wanted
Let's
to see a
investigate
profile of
this.
it.
Now he's got
Oh,
his earphone
okay.
plugged in.
Just see a profile of it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
We've got to get him a Bluetooth headset.
We gotta do something.
Bluetooth are garbage. It's this thing. It's a Disney toy from The
Oh,
Last
wow.
Dragon. There's supposed to be a Barbie doll toy that goes with it.
Turn that. I could turn that into something monstrous with very
Oh,
little
boy.
effort.
Oh heck yeah! It helped to inspire me. So, mission accomplished, right? But it was so big and chunky. I couldn't walk past it and not get it. You know, as a toy guy, it was so big. I was like, oh man, I've got to come on payday that time. Now they're
It's a
super cheap
toy.
clearance,
What
but
does
this
it
was.
do?
This one just rolls around and looks like in the movie. It doesn't do anything else.
I got a dog that
There's no
rolls
action
around.
feature.
You had a
Dig
dog
'em?
that
You
rolled
guys remember
around.
Dig 'em? Remember the dog Dig 'em? It was like made out of wood, and his legs would move as you pulled it along.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, showing my age a little, but yeah, I remember that. I remember the commercials were cute as hell. And now I got my own. I got my own. You
Well,
didn't dig.
remember them putting slinkies in the middle of those toys? Oh gee.
I remember a slinky. Oh, never mind. That was an antenna just last week. We use slinkies, the metal ones, if we can get them. When we get them from Juarez, and we need to change the length of our antenna depending on the frequency we're using. Well, slinkies are wonderful. If you're going to go on a low frequency, you need to stretch your antenna out. If you need to give a higher frequency, you just bring it in.
Interesting.
They're not good in the wind.
Yeah, Frank was saying there's some people are like slinkies. You know, you just want to knock them down the stairs. I'm sorry. That's a terrible joke.
No, I felt that way many a time.
Sorry, I just wanted to play with my laser for a minute. Now that the mystery is solved. That was good. That was a good demo about why.
That absolutely, I saw the same thing the Shadow did. Just exactly the same thing.
I can still see it, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah, only when he's got it in the distance. When he does the close up of it, that ruins the whole.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it sure does. It ruins the whole effect. We just thought maybe something creepy was around you. You fed it after midnight or something.
No, I just wondered what toy it was. Maybe it was. I mean, I literally kind of thought it was
Yes,
an actual gremlin, stuffed animal type of thing.
No, I don't.
6
I
foot
can picture
tall.
that. I mean, after seeing that gigantic prehistoric armadillo sow bug, whatever the hell that thing was,
yeah.
nothing
I
surprises
mean, that
me.
wouldn't be out of range of probability with Nathan at all.
No,
You know.
No. It's still happening. Everything's coming on. So who knows what's going to happen when I'm going to show up with? I don't know.
As long as it doesn't start moving and demanding food, you know.
It
Right.
doesn't have to move. It can be planted. Big me.
Well, that gave up any thought of
Little
sleeping for me.
Shop of Horrors reference.
I absolutely love that the Rick Moranis version.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much the Jack Nicholson version.
Oh,
Be me someone.
Mhm.
Seymour.
Or Seymour, not someone. Well, someone too, but you know.
6 to 1, half dozen the other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had something occur to me to bring up, but it'll come back. Whatever. But that is a very, very good demonstration of pareidolia.
Oh yeah.
We all, everyone on screen saw a critter back here, and
We've been
it
seeing
was
that
a
critter there for a
gathering of
couple
stuff
of
in our
weeks.
mind.
You know, we've
Okay.
been looking at that, wondering what in the hell have you got back there for? Yeah, like he says, weeks, just weeks, and you know, it just never came up to say much about it. And I'm like him. I just assumed it was one of your toys. You know. So
it is his toys.
It was a bunch of toys.
yeah, it's not one of them. It's a whole slew of them. Speaking of toys, we've almost got that dragon put together.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Well, we'll put it together and we'll get some color on it.
If you have a chance to go on Temu and buy one of these,
What is it?
Got one.
it's a UHF, VHF radio. It also picks up FM.
Okay.
You
Mhm.
can program it through. Oh, great. No, I can't remember the name of the program.
Oh, I need to
Anyway.
get one of those. I don't have that particular one. I've got a ham radio handheld.
Well, this is ham.
Hmm.
But
Let me
you
go
can
get
also program the older ones. You could program for family radio service. It was illegal as could be because you can remove the antenna. And
Right. Well, let me go grab this thing. Hold on.
they
Well,
are
that's fun,
UB5 Rs, and should the stuff hit the fan,
Mm-hmm.
this will get you
Okay. The
communication.
one I got
with
is.
CB
Let me
won't.
get my headset.
CB will go 5 miles and that's it. This one right here, well, one smaller than this. Yeah, is it a UV5R? Look at the bottom. No, look at the bottom. Right at the bottom. Right
Yes.
down here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You need to get a programming, and you need to get a programming cable, and you need to go, and this can be done on a daily basis if you wanted to. You go to Chirp, and then down, look up your regional stations that are available, and
Mm-hmm.
pick some that are near you. Pick some on VHF and some on UHF, and you'll have emergency communications should you need it.
Okay. I will
I
check
gave
that
them
out because
like,
I've.
how long have you had yours? How long
I've
have
had
you
mine
yours?
for maybe 3 months.
Okay.
I've had it for 3 months.
You may, if you want to get the family radio service stations in that, you may have to look online for how to break one, so that it will go back. It will do the same thing as this one. This is an old one. This one is as old as the one that Frank has. And it can do family radio
Okay.
service. It can also do GMRS radio service. But
Okay, I'll check it out. I did read a little bit about it months. Maybe it's more than 3 months, but not much more. Like maybe 6 months ago, because I got that one in case there is no FCC to mess with me, and I got some the FMRS definite locked in ones for just daily use if needed.
okay, if there's an emergency, you can use any frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
need to look into that, Nathan. Maybe you can send me a link later.
T-Mo has
Okay,
them
well-
on there, and the last time I saw them, they were like $5 each.
Yeah, they're not expensive.
Cool.
Yeah, I paid
grab a
more than
couple.
$5.
The rechargeable battery pack down here is more than the. Yeah, that's the difference between mine and yours, Nathan. That's the difference between mine and yours. Is just that I bought this battery pack.
Oh, I got the battery. I got a battery pack also.
Okay, good. Okay.
The batteries were more
something
expensive.
like that is, you know, if all hell has broken loose, you can call for help, but getting it might be iffy.
Mm-hmm.
You're more likely
Right.
to get it from there. When the towers went down in New York,
Right.
it took out the fire, the ambulance, and the police department's radios. Ham radio operators were posted in individual police cars and individual fire trucks to take the place of the radios that they would have normally used, because we can't get out on one frequency, we're allowed another. Where
You're stuck on one.
What? Yeah, they're stuck on one or maybe a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got
and right. Okay, and
That kept
also
that moving at that time.
Also, I do know these things have a sweep function and
Yes.
a scan function. These can also be used as ghost boxes, okay? And I've seen them used as ghost boxes where it sweeps the frequencies because I've seen them used. They did Ghost Adventures and I think Ghost Hunters also, but I can't remember that one too well. I was never really a big fan of them because
as long as you don't park it on a water heater, you should be all right.
What?
Right.
You remember that?
No.
It had an EMF detector. It was basically a device similar to what you're showing there. And they were raising something of a fit over it. And, well, they were standing next to a hot water tank, electric one. No wonder they were getting those kind of readings.
Okay, there's
Right.
another advantage here. FM, which is what these work on, do not respond to amplitude modulation like you'd get off of an appliance switching.
That's good.
And that's the reason why most music channels and that move to FM. Because AM gets lightning crashes and light switches being turned on and then
microwaves
snapping and crackling all the time over something.
Oh yeah, I've got these cheaper speakers here on my desk. I can leave my cell phone next to it and I can hear the ping going out of the phone talking to the tower every now and then. And My mom did that one time, and she had a stereo set up where she was, and she had set her phone on top of the speaker, and it was really loud. I'm like,
Oh wow.
hold on. The speaker has two little wires, and they're normally not. And I explained it to her, and you can hear the and it stops.
How
She
about
thought,
that?
what is going on here? I'm like, it's your cell phone. Your cell
It
phone and
sounds
your
like an old
speaker
fashioned
is
modem.
yeah. When it's
remember
super
that?
loud like that.
The dial
Mhm.
up on a modem, racing storm, you couldn't sneak around on a computer then. Boy, the whole household knew you were on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And oh man, all the interference that you can pick up on these things. Baby monitors are good for that kind of thing. Baby monitors will pick up the weirdest stuff you've ever heard. Video
Yep.
and audio. Those are go ahead.
Yeah. Well, having had one when Jackie was young, uh, what a pain in the ass. When you're trying to, sort of half sleep, and you're hearing weird crap, and you go in there, and you're your kid's fine. He's just floating in his crib, and you're wondering, what the big hubbub is, and nothing making a peep when you go in.
Yeah, but you ever see these police cars that have the longer antennas on them? Not the ones with the short ones, but the ones that have the little bit longer ones.
Yeah.
Those are 49 megahertz, which is, guess what? Baby monitor channel. They're just a little off the frequency. And if you have a cheap receiver, it's going to get them.
Time a baby monitor.
Child sound asleep after 3 days of colic. You need that like you need another hole in your head.
That can be arranged. Oh, never mind.
Well, I think you'd put it there yourself after a certain number of that
Okay,
sort of
let me
thing.
tell you the story. I found the video, but go ahead.
You found the video. What?
No, go ahead. Okay, I want to tell you the story about this thing. It was on Slapped Ham. It's still on there. Now, all he does is release other people's videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
This mother saw a second baby in her. She had the baby monitor, like almost bird's eye view over top of this baby bed. And it's an infrared camera. Very important. It's an infrared night vision baby monitor camera. You know this one, Joe. Okay. She looked on the monitor and saw a second baby in there under the covers, and she freaked out. She went in, turned on the lights. There's no baby there. Here's what it was, right? Now, this is an infrared camera with a flashlight on it. Like my little scope, it's an infrared lamp on it. What it was seeing through the top sheet to the label on the mattress saying this is a baby bed mattress with a picture of a baby. It was seeing infrared through the sheet and it was reflecting back.
Yeah,
it
but
was
the baby,
amazing.
I was
the
expecting
baby
Tell
must,
you what,
raccoon.
she was worried about that kid having its head on backwards and spinning around.
the
Or another
baby must,
monster feed.
the baby must have laid on that label in order to put some heat there for the infrared camera to hear. I mean, to see.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, see, these webcams can see infrared sometimes when the light hits whatever just
You know,
right.
most of
And it can see.
these cameras, if you remove a filter from them, they can see infrared.
Yep, this one will do it. Well, my cell phone will do that. It'll do it anyway. I was on some chat thing, right? And had an angle a lot like yours, Joe, where it was kind of pointing upwards, and I could see the ceiling. And I looked at the ceiling, and I saw dark spots in the camera, but I couldn't see it with my eyes. They were water. It was watermarks. it was seeing through the infrared the watermarks in the ceiling from a
Mine, you
roof leak.
can tell where the beams are going through.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. It's
No, that
doing it
makes sense.
right now. You see those?
Yep.
Does everybody see that on Joe's camera? You see the lamp in the middle, right?
Oh,
The light fixture in the middle. Right. You need
Yeah.
a laser. You see a light fixture in the middle, and then the lines going like this.
Yeah.
Are those visible to your eyes, Joe?
no.
Isn't this cool? This is
Oh.
how these cameras, those are a different temperature than the rest of the ceiling because there's more mass behind it. It's probably cooler, and the beams are acting like heat sinks, right?
Oh wow.
Joe, does that make sense?
I would have to get a thermistor up there and say to decide which is which, because I imagine that gap in there between the ceiling and the roof might cool faster than the beams, and the beams might be hotter. It could be either way, but yes, there's a temperature gradient there.
But either way, there's a temperature difference in this cool stuff. This is so cool. All this stuff is so cool.
But when
those are the toys
and
of ghost hunting.
Yeah, when it's all said and done with all of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, we're gonna find out that we've been shanghaied in a few places, I'm sure.
And living in a computer mock-up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, maybe that
too.
too.
Speaking of that, that just made me think about something. I don't know, maybe it's a coffee or something, but okay, now we understand computations as the spinning of atoms within a processor, correct, Joe?
Somewhat, yeah. In the current
Okay.
processors. Next one's not going to be like that.
In current processors, in copper-based stuff, it is the spin of electrons inside the processor that makes the data do different things. Okay, bear with me, okay? Now, reality as a matrix. I did not know we were going here tonight, y'all. Reality as a matrix, as a simulation, right? Now, we have reality, matter, energy. We are processing as we go every atom spinning around, every bit of matter, every cell, every atom is part of the bigger processor, and it is distributed processing. Ooh, how about that? And you have the bigger processors, which are solar systems, let's say, and those are the big slow ones. Okay, then you get smaller, and you get onto the atomic level that we are familiar with inside a lab. So you have the microcosm to the macrocosm, and it's all one big computer that has programmed itself, and it is both the computer and the environment at the same time. Boom! There you go.
My one question is for you, why is the sun less energetic? The sun would seem to me to be far more energetic than any of the other matter out in the universe.
Okay. What's the question, though?
Why is the sun, what you just went through, you have the sun being less energetic. Well, it is a giant solar furnace. I mean, it is literally spinning that stuff out so fast and creating its own gravity to grab it back again.
Oh,
So
hold on. I have to go. I did not mean to go there, guys, but I missed a question in the chat. Tim is saying, what about a good game camera? The good ones don't come up with images. The cheap ones do. I have a cheap one over here, and it comes up with all kinds of phantom images, and none of them are haunted things. Good camera will pick up what's there. They have infrared and motion detect, and some of them
Well, the better
would
they are, the
be
more stable they are.
right. So a good game camera get what's there. I think those are the ones that catch pictures of Bigfoot and cryptids and ghosts and little girls dressed in white outfits walking through the forests. Those are the good ones. The cheap ones get different stuff. You have to pick through a
fuzzies.
bunch of garbage, right? You have to pick through a bunch of garbage on the screen to see what's actually there. Like I've got ones where you can literally cannot see the deer walking in front of it because it took 2 or 3 seconds for the camera to react, for the motion sensor to tell the camera to turn on, and by that time the deer was gone. But I watched it walk past.
Now, this is
And
interesting
okay,
what Tim's saying as well, and he's saying the computer that we've just discussed is a 3D printing out of a black hole. What an idea! That's something to chew on.
Okay, let me bring that out a little bit. It's not 3D printing, it's 5D printing. Okay,
Yeah.
it is printing on the 3D over time, which is the 4D, but over changing reality, that's the 5D.
Multiple realities.
Okay. Right,
Yeah.
multiple. That's
right
the
on into
5D.
6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Right,
the
just like we talked
yet.
about one time. This is the nexus. This is the now. This is where the past has been leading up and no longer exists. Now is what we have, and the future is what's being built through the now. So the 5D is the now being made right now, and the past all built up to right now. We have the 5D here, but we're moving through the 4D, the fourth dimension, to get to it where
I didn't know you were there for that teaching. That was down in the basement.
I know. I
You
wasn't.
weren't there.
Yeah,
Oh.
but you got the memo
You
anyway.
got the memo anyhow.
See, this is quantum. Okay, that is what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And Tim brought it on by talking about 3D printing black holes. Actually,
Yeah.
Well, no, I think
Talking
our
about Tim,
ghosts,
it was
our
Tim
ghosts
and
are out
Tim and
there.
Lisa. Tim and Lisa. It was their basement.
Yeah, I think that our 5, 6, 7, 8 deep dimension, our ghosts reside in at least one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I would,
Yeah. Spirit. Oh, the ghosts, right?
Mhm.
I had Xena, since she is kind of the spirit realm person, right? Go
Right.
across space and time because it doesn't matter to her. It's not her material. It's my material. I
Excuse me.
can't zoom across. You're good. I can't zoom across there, across the world. She could.
Yeah.
She did. Yet. I couldn't sitting here bilocate. She could and did because time. She's outside of these rules. Joe, what are you laughing at? Go ahead.
the time I had to be at Parkland Elementary and Dolphin Terrace at the same time.
Oh, do tell.
Well, they all swear I was there.
In both places.
When you mentioned by location, I'm going, I was at Parkland wishing I was over Dolphin. because I had parent-teacher conferences in both places. And the parents swear they talk to me. So,
You talk to somebody.
Mhm.
yeah.
What's up, Frank?
Is that
Red,
Frank?
Red. Yep, that's Frank.
Where's
Storm
Frank?
and Shadow. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm bringing it up on screen right now.
Lectroids are from the 8th dimension, he says.
I'm not familiar with red electroids.
I don't have the first clue.
Mhm.
Well, maybe we should go to Walmart.
Why do we need to go to Walmart?
Sure.
I hate Walmart.
To get you a game of Clue.
Wah, 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 wah.
Hey, that's almost as good. Let's see if Shadow can answer this one. Probably you can. How many witches does it take to replace a light bulb?
Witches? Maybe one?
It depends on the spell.
You know
That's
what's
kind of
bad
an
about
inside
it?
joke right there.
You know
No,
what's
no, no.
bad about it? He's told me this story at least a dozen times so far this year, and I am hit with it brand new every time he tells it.
Well, you remember how Pat Elise, oh, Nathan will remember this one. You remember why midnight is a witching hour?
I do, but go ahead.
Anybody else want to answer it? Lynn?
You didn't tell me it was going to be a test.
It's the time that 8 o'clock ceremony finally gets started.
Mm-hmm. Because Circle started at 8.
Right.
Yeah, circle started at 8. Who knows what time we're going to get going here?
Right.
Sorry, Shadow.
No,
He's
don't
like,
even
okay,
sweat.
yeah, I'm just here. Okay, yeah, I'm
No,
just
no,
here
You
now.
just work here, right?
Yeah, but he's our mundaner we get to pick on.
Oh no,
Hey,
we're not gonna
hey,
pick
hey,
on
hey.
it. We're not gonna pick on
There's
it.
nothing mundane about this guy.
Well, we were talking about you, not Nathan. He's giving you the jazz shadow.
Oh, what about that guy
I'm
that
used
came
to
on?
it. Trust me, I was just on my own show. Right,
What about
Justin? I
what
don't know if
about that
Justin's.
guy that came on your show, Lynn Ann? That, but no, not your show. The show immediately before your show that managed to get Frank and me and some other guy.
Oh no, that was my
Oh,
show.
that was your show.
Oh yeah, he came on and he's being not only rude to me, but rude, crude, utterly lewd, and socially unacceptable. And you know, I'm like, you keep it up, I'm gonna call my big brothers on you. They'll fix you. And he laughed at me. Yeah, so
Mm.
Frank comes on and it tells him exactly where he is on the map, what street he lives on. He goes, if you want me to go further, I'll tell you what apartment you're in. I already know your IP address. And Frank's that good, yes. But
Oh,
these
but
guys ganged up on
oh,
him.
we bounced him back and forth.
Crying. It was worse than a badminton match.
Oh,
They just ganged up on him. Of course, Krusty was a Sumerian antiquities expert.
squeak,
Yeah,
squeak, squeak,
yeah.
squeak, squeak, squeak. Or was it? He didn't like that
Oh,
one bit.
have y'all seen that thing floating around on Facebook as an ad where they found a tomb of a I'm starting to get tired, y'all. One of the Sumerian gods. And they found
Yes.
what appears to be a body.
Really? No,
Yeah,
I
but the
Yes.
thing is, he is so well preserved. He looks like a store mannequin.
Right.
wow.
I looked
But
that's a clickbait article. I couldn't it was an AI generated article on maybe 2 or 3 facts. So it looked like ChatGPT had made this article. I looked at it. I tried to look at it, but I couldn't get any information, and there were like 5 total pictures, the same ones on Facebook.
Huh.
And you're right, it looks like it reminds me of a cigar store Indian carved out of wood, is what it reminded me of.
Yeah, but most mummified, if that's even the right word for this process, uh, they rather look that way. Unwrapped. I
Yeah.
mean,
well, they
This
supposedly found him unwrapped.
right. And it was and this thing, right, was really tall, 8 foot tall, right, Joe? Was
Right.
that it?
oh,
He'd have to be because
It was
the,
8 foot tall.
a
Mhm.
short Anunnaki.
There were no comparison shots. Right.
No
Yeah, a
what
short
spots?
Anunnaki. No comparison shots. Like, here I am standing next to this giant thing. There
Right.
was nothing like that. It looked
See, that
like
makes it
they just
difficult.
stood over. Right. There was
Yeah,
nothing like that. And I would like to learn more,
there's
but I can't
nothing
find
for
anything else.
contrast. There's nothing to say. Okay,
Right.
here's a teacup, and here's this a hand. You know.
Right. Like, here's a ballpoint pen and here's a Sharpie.
Mm,
One is clearly thicker than the other. There was no comparison.
Here's
Okay, it wasn't super
here's
thick.
this critter, and here's my finger.
yeah. Besides that,
Hmm.
like Gilgamesh and his buddy Enkidu
And Enkidu. Yeah.
were both shown in statues holding lions as kitties.
Yeah, under an
Hmm.
arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be 18 feet or so tall if that
Right.
was the case. That is a
Yeah, I'd
good
say so. That's
comparator.
about right.
So yeah, 18 or so. And that's a pretty good comparator because we have lions modern day. So take one of those. How big is the dude's forearm? As long as the lion in a
Oh
crouched
yeah.
position, well, that would
Yeah,
make him
yeah.
about the arm
Look,
about 3 meters or
the
or
the arms
9 feet long.
underneath this thing's paws. You know, I know
Hmm.
which one he's talking about.
Right. Me too. And it would make the forearm, about 9 feet long. So
Yeah.
that's a big arm. So 9 foot compared to a human body, that would make it about 18 or so, right?
Yeah. When you
Or
see
actually
normal
like
people,
25.
on the walls drawn with the gods, the tallest ones may come up to his groin, but the majority of them
Hmm.
will come up to his kneecaps.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So he's a pretty big guy. And as
Hmm.
far as the
So that would
lion
be.
goes, a lion is every bit as big as a man, especially if he's standing on his hind legs. And
Hmm.
I mean a big man.
And these guys are walking around. This
Right.
is my kitty.
Yeah, here, puss puss.
Hmm. Yeah, Tim is saying, I'm glad I'm talking about AI clickbait because this stuff is is deranged, and it is. It's
Some of it
just to get
is.
views on a website,
Yeah. Well, they get so much
and
per
some of it
click,
is,
you know.
and it's
That's why they call it clickbait.
yeah. And I tried, and I could not find any cross reference that was not clickbait, and it
There
was
probably
mostly
wasn't.
advertising teaming.
Yeah.
Hmm?
There
Hmm.
probably wasn't any. You know, they're using AI to generate some of that now too.
Yeah,
So, you know, they don't have a fingerprint on it.
yeah,
So,
because they
I
use a
mean,
variety of
and
sources.
then they bellyache because they don't like the origin of certain news articles. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, um, yeah, that stuff with an AI. I've thought about generating AI content using facial recognition, my face, just to have shorts. But I was like, I don't think I want to do that. I want to keep it
I
real,
wouldn't.
keep it genuine.
Well,
You
they've
know, if I'm
already
going to put
got
up,
something that'll generate your voice. You don't want them to
Mhm.
have access to your face like that.
Yeah,
You
that's
find
why I've
yourself
never.
on some sort of recruitment poster, you know?
Hmm. Diane's
That
back. Hey, Diane.
that would not go well.
Right.
You're like,
And there have been a whole bunch of cases of people using pictures before AI in advertising and things like that. And they go back and they see those pictures been being used for years when the guy hasn't worked for. I'm thinking of Sanka coffee. On older Sanka coffee containers,
right,
it showed a
right.
picture of a dude drinking a cup of coffee. They didn't have the rights to use that image, but the guy quit working for him in like the late 80s and never looked at the thing. So there is precedent, but now it's randomly generated things
Yeah,
based
yeah.
on real people.
Well, and you
And
know, there's been certain raids done when we were still in Afghanistan where they took some soldiers' personal pictures and things like that, and have used them to entice and entrap women in the United States and Canada. You know, these scams that are, you know, for lonely hearts. And
oh,
I'll tell you what, if you don't know what you're looking at, it'd be very easy to get trapped into it. And I know of at least two that have.
I
You know,
wish we hadn't
one,
gone down this well.
yeah,
well, we
well,
don't have, we can back away from it.
we can
We
back
can
away
back away
from it.
from it easily.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
And
because
we can go back to the ghost hunting stuff because AI also has a place in it.
well, it
Hmm.
wasn't
And
AI.
also, I can relate it to counting the stars and doing research, UFO research. They tell an AI, look at this multi megabyte picture and see if you have any differences. That's the best as way as I understand it, right? And
Is
point out
something
any
there
anomalies.
doesn't belong? I see.
Right,
Something that doesn't belong.
right. Point out any anomalies. And that can be done with ghost images as well.
How about that?
We should get like we should if we're going to use AI to hunt for things, take these videos that take ghost hunters so many days to process. Let an AI go through, find any anomalies, and give us the tags where those things are seen, any differences. That would be, yeah.
Well, certainly
Tim is
concept.
saying AI would be the best and worst of us. Hmm. uh, Tim saying AI is the best and worst of us. Yes, a badly made random rogue AI would be the worst of us. Now, as long as they have a power plug, that's if you pull the plug, no more AI. Okay, that is our guard right there. If you're not able to pull the plug, then EMP, not a nuclear bomb, but EMP. And me and Joe have gone over a few times in real life on how to generate an EMP the dirty way and the right way. And you look it up online, it's always the dirty way that is the most destructive and the most random. But oh, something else I put in the show was using your empathic awareness in a place to ghost hunt, feeling your way through it, right? Now, this I'm bear with me. I'm relating the two together, okay?
No,
So
you're bound to. It's part of your thought processes.
Right. Oh, yes. That's the whole fiber of this. The reason I do this. EMPs do that for technology. It blasts out and it overpowers, right? And it short circuits and it causes things to overcharge, right? Now there is a method of doing this mentally, but it's not physical. It's not electrical spectrum. It's whatever spectrum we're working on here, what I call the quantum link, what Keith calls 0 point. There is a method, and I've had to do this a couple times. I've had to do this a couple times now when bad stuff was going on around me, and I would just imagine my white light right in front of me compacting and getting brighter and exploding through the room, and it blasts everything out. That is an empathic blast. Shadow, come on with the psionics from D&D whenever you're ready, right? Hopefully he's listening and heard me say psionics, because that is a D&D thing, but it's based on real research. The psionics in games is the manipulation of reality perception, okay? And we can do that. We can, just like Joe, you were talking about bilocation. You were wishing you were over there. Now, a million different things could happen, right? That you could actually be there and you're bilocating here. Or you could be your other self from a second before. That other self is immune to time and space because they're either in the past or the future.
Well, I have a thought about that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so
when you're wishing that hard about needing to be both places at the same time, while you're wishing that, you're also seeing how you would engage with that other person. You know, and I can see where that would absolutely work.
You had your hand up?
Yeah. I was saying bye. Nerd has said they got to call it a night. She got to call it a night. So I was just saying bye.
All right. Good night.
And okay, so in the ghost hunting of things, right? People have tried to use EM frequencies, but they're not very regulated. They're not very tuned. It's more like an EMP, but miniature. It doesn't blow things out like an EMP does when it's really big and really out there. They've tried to do that. It doesn't work. And but psionically speaking, mentally, psychically, we can do that because that is our 0 point quantum link, whatever you want to call it, our essence force exploding out. And I've heard of this in Majestic 12. I've heard of this from Lynn Hurley saying that she's been able to do this to clear a room as if it was a flashbang grenade, to clear a room that way of all those particular frequencies of beings.
Yeah.
I've had to do it here a couple times.
Well, you know, go ahead, Joe.
A simple oscillator between 8 to 12 hertz will clear a room of negative energies.
Mm-hmm.
But you might end up getting a headache from it. And the
You are.
problem is
Mm-hmm.
the speakers for this thing don't produce sound like we hear. It's way below our hearing sound. You might, if you were at an orchestra where they were playing music, you might feel 8 to 12, but you'll never hear it with your ears. It's
Mhm.
way below human hearing range. But yeah, it'll clear the room, and yep, it'll clear the room. And if you're real sensitive to it, you will get a headache because it'll clear you out too.
Well,
Right.
will it
Now
make
that
you
is
ill?
EM.
Will it make you ill?
Not when you leave the area. It's with it, just like your neighbor playing the stereo too loud. If you're there, it's too loud. If you're a block or two away, it's
Mm,
background noise.
yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Now, what
Huh.
Lynn was talking about was she was an operative in Majestic 12. They are psychic. I want to say psychic warriors. However, she was remote viewing, but more than remote viewing, she was more like astral projecting with a script. Okay. Following some kind of protocol that she does not talk about. She will talk about the events, but she won't talk about the process because I've never heard her talk about the process.
She's
She
probably
would
not
go
permitted
on.
to.
Yeah, it might be a trigger. I don't know. She doesn't ever go into the process very much. She talks about the events, and they're crazy. Okay, how she's cleared out rooms of spies, and she's taken prisoners. I'm like, how does this work? I don't think there's any way to logically deduce how these things work because it is not within our field of understanding that we can calculate how using basically pen and paper without some what you call man, here we go, math, imaginary numbers filling in the blank.
Okay.
Shadow, talk to us about psionics.
Well, I wanted to say something first, though.
Sure.
We
Okay.
discussed this in circle. The human brain first produces a binaural beat, and that's somewhere between 13 to 16 hertz, and we're used to that happening between us and our friends in that. Alpha waves, which we discussed just a minute ago, I didn't name them, are 8 to 12 hertz. And when you get relaxed and you start meditation, you begin to produce alpha waves. And alpha waves can actually be felt. And like she captured people, well, they felt like I was telling you, the headache. Well, she's apparently powerful enough that she could cause them to want to move away from the source. And that way they move themselves into where they could get themselves captured. And then lastly is the theta waves. Now, those are common in lighter stages of sleep and during the transition between waking and sleeping. They're 4 to 7 hertz, and they're not as useful, but producing alpha waves between 8 to 12 seems to be doing what we do during meditation and that. And it also seems to have been part of what the CIA was doing. It was teaching their people how to increase alpha waves, including a diet, which I don't have any hint of what that was, but there was a special diet that helped them with producing the alpha waves.
Huh.
Right.
What project?
I'd be very interested in seeing that.
I can't remember the name of the project, but it has been declassified.
That's
It
bizarre.
might be Project Stargate.
That's it.
of
That's
remote
it. That's
viewing.
it.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Stargate, yeah, it is declassified, and most people look at it as science fiction.
Yeah.
Shadow, go ahead. We were talking about psionic ability, using the name psionic ability for psychic
Psychic ability.
metaphysical things.
Yeah. I you know, my earliest weird experiences were all psychic as opposed to supernatural. In my show and in my circle, I distinguish between the two, like paranormal. I link to psychic abilities that have no supernatural or magical um, basis. Although you could argue that everything was created through the equivalent of magic, and psionics are just an offshoot of that. Basically, for the most part, things that are being done just by the brain as opposed to making contact with some sort of supernatural force, however you want to classify that. But maybe that not just human brains, but all brains, for the most part, have abilities and talents that a lot of people not only take for granted but don't recognize as something extraordinary or out of the ordinary, beyond the normal, because there are people and creatures that can do things that, if you look at it, they really shouldn't actually be able to do. Um, like dogs, for example, their sense of smell and things like that. Well, uh, if you take the nose away from the dog, the nose isn't the whole thing. That's giving them their ability to recognize things. Like my dog can smell a squirrel. He's inside the house. Okay, the door's closed. He can't see the squirrel, on the fence, but he knows to come running because he can smell that squirrel from 30 yards away through a closed door, and he can smell the squirrel. Okay, and he wants to get the squirrel for whatever reason. Maybe they're going to go, have a conversation. I'm sure that's not going to end well for the dog, but he thinks it's gonna. But as an example, as well as when I was on Raven's show, we talked about a lot of things that people don't attribute to psychic abilities, but are like, have you ever woken up before your alarm goes off? Like a couple of minutes before your alarm goes off. That's not normal. There's no way to explain that sort of training, that you can train yourself to do that because you're asleep. Okay, so for the most part, your body should be kind of not paying attention. Okay, people who can predict the weather, the old adage of my knee hurts, it's going to rain soon, kind of thing. There's other things like some of the things that you guys know that I do, the micro expressions, being able to tell when people are lying.
Yeah.
God, I have a huge list. But there's a whole lot of little things that people could do that they don't really attribute to being psychic. They because they're afraid of that word psychic, but it's all coming from the brain, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So is magic. So is magic.
Right. But when you are contacting an outside thing, as opposed to it's all within yourself, there are these things that you're not asking for guidance from the world or a spirit or anything like that. It's all coming from inside you, and you just have an ability. People that know when not to walk down a dark alley, when they can tell people are lying, or get the feeling that during the day it's going to be a good day or it's going to be a bad day, and a lot of people would argue that they're making their own.
The trick is knowing how it's going to be a bad day.
Hmm.
Right?
And
Right,
if it is going to be a bad day, learning the trick, using your body, biofeedback. You know about that, right?
Absolutely, it's for decades.
Right. You wake up in the morning, you're not feeling great. Slap on a smile.
Amen, brother.
Just like Keith says.
Mhm.
Even if it's fake, it's setting the road for the future.
Right. Or those people that get that sort of deja vu sense, and then the thing that they think is going to happen actually happens, or like with me, dreaming something's going to happen and then it happens. I'm not asking for these things or asking an outside source or channeling an outside source. It's coming from just this thinking meet up here in the cases I'm talking about. Whereas, if you're trying to connect or contact an outside source, that especially when you have to say certain things or do certain things to get it to happen, I liken that more to a supernatural situation, like if you use a Ouija board or something like that. That I would liken to more of a supernatural thing as opposed to paranormal, because
So, like asking for directions from an outside source.
right. Or asking for the lotto numbers or something like that, as opposed to although you could literally, because the problem is they overlap. Okay,
Right.
you could have a spell for getting the lotto numbers, or you could just focus and meditate and maybe it comes to you, kind of thing. They might have the same outcome, which is fat chance you're not winning the lottery that way, or
You'll be surprised.
right. They both have a lot of parallels, if not 100%. I don't know. That would be a whole lot of research that I just don't have the time for.
That's
But
kind of what I've said. The universe really doesn't have a concept of money. Wealth, yes. Prosperity, yes, but not
Right.
money per se.
Yeah, right. Or let's say like out of body experiences. You could try to do that through a supernatural means, but you could also and we've come across these folks that have done it and they didn't know what was happening. And I'm pretty sure, unless it's like some sort of malevolent force trying to trick you with this experience, for the most part it could, or I should say, it would make more sense for me that it's just an ability that particular person has, that they're coming into and not knowing what to do with, and experiencing it. And it would make more sense that it's just something that we don't know that we can do, that and maybe not everybody can do. There are some people out there that I'm pretty sure can't do squat, but there are people out there, and
They better be able to. They get dirty underwear.
So for me, that's kind of more of my the way I look at things. They're one or the other, maybe both, but you have to admit that some things seem more supernatural than paranormal, and other things that are more paranormal than supernatural.
I kind of relate the two of them, though.
Well, if you study both, then absolutely. If you shy away from one, but you can still replicate the more or less some of the abilities the other way, then wouldn't it stand to reason that maybe there is something too that
Right.
we're
Like
more.
I said, I'm a bit of a techno pagan, and sometimes, well, like the frequency, the brain frequency, knowing the brain frequency helps me understand what level of meditation I'm at.
Right. Well, like with
and which one I want.
With people that can read facial expressions and capture micro expressions in the blink of an eye. There's naturals and there's trained. There are people who could just do it and they don't know they're doing it, but they're doing it. They
Mhm.
know that you're lying. They know that you're nervous. They know that you're, keeping something from them, or they get a feeling that they can't trust you because your face is telling it all. Most people just don't know it, but you can also be trained to do the very same things if
Mhm.
you know the right people and they're willing to, teach you how to practice and study, you know, uh, those techniques. You can learn it, but you could also maybe have um, a supernatural equivalent. Maybe you have a charm or a pendant or something that someone has given you or you've created that will, let you know that this guy's not safe, or this girl's, lying to you, or this person's,
Mhm.
up to no good, or, you know, maybe even, the opposite, that this is a person, you know, your
Well,
soulmate.
I see charms and amulets more as not having their own power, but being
Reserves.
a well a focal point for yourself, for your own
Right,
power.
but we've all heard stories, since the beginning of time of a specific device or gadget or MacGuffin, whatever you want to call it, that does this specific thing. This is a charm against this. This is, a ring of that, or whatever. And clearly that would have had to have, been created or imbued with those abilities by some other source. You're not going to just, get a ring out of a gumball machine and it's going to do the cool stuff. Someone had to work on it or do something or imprint something on it, and then if you could give it to another person and it still works, that would uh imply that you can make a thing do another thing.
Getting it to work for the other person is the hard part.
Right, and I
Yeah,
could see how
yeah,
such an item
exactly.
might not work for someone because they either don't have the insides that'll do it, or they have doubts, or they're
Right.
suspicious,
That's
or
spirit.
Or they simply don't use it.
Well,
right,
that disbelief can
Yeah.
right.
can cut those things down real quick. Like,
Mhm.
Whether minor magic and depending on the magician or the wizard or witch, depending on that person, as to how powerful they're going to be.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you don't really hand off your power to somebody else very, very easily or very often.
But yet
Just
we still have those stories in the collected, zeitgeist of
Mhm.
humanity, handed down from ages
Well,
and ages
Grimm's
and ages.
fairy tales.
Excalibur.
Yeah,
Mhm. Right,
but
and
yeah,
to what extent, and what the rules are, etc. Every culture has their own different thing. I just heard recently a friend tell of how in Japan they used to believe that if an item was over 100 years old, it would start to develop its own abilities or powers, or auras and things like that. Versus other cultures have different, you know construction methods, so to speak, of their.
Horcrux.
Well, I
Interesting.
swear some of these old radios are that way.
Yeah, it's still,
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's
Oh.
it's picked up from some of the older stuff. And you pick it up and it suddenly tells you its story.
Or like
You
crystal
know,
balls, for example. I was just thinking about that. Crystal balls could probably be used for a bunch of things, but traditionally they were used for what? Shot puts, no, scrying, right?
right?
Right,
Right.
Sure.
or meditation, etc. As opposed to, if you get a crystal ball, it lets you jump real high. No, we don't have any stories of that, but we do have lots and lots of stories of a crystal ball,
Right. Yeah.
right? And
Or
you know,
something of that nature.
right, looking, seeing, getting visions,
Black mirrors.
right?
Hmm.
Versus, it does, it helps with your digestion or something like that. Uh, we don't hear
Ginger.
that,
Ginger.
right? Yeah.
A
I
lot of traditions pick those things up. And you get a certain mythology going about them too. What were
Mhm.
you going to say, Nathan?
I have a story about an item that's very old, and it was technologically bound. You remember the old school, some of the old house intercoms where they were all wired and they had cotton bound wiring? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
One time I had a job when I was in El Paso of a house clearing. They were moving and it was a packing job and I was packing all their stuff up. Me and a team of people, right?
Huh?
And we went, and this house was due for demolition. So I had no problems taking pieces of it. They had one of those old brass and copper mounted wall intercoms.
Oh.
60 and
It
70s.
was so cool. And it had this big AM radio built into it with a dial that went, you turn the knob and the knob thing would slowly go across, right? And then you could hit intercom or whatever, play music through the house, all the little switches.
Hmm.
I yanked it out and I put it in the storage area. And it was one of the team members' houses, right? Something was attached to it. And the nature of this thing being a radio, and you have a figure coming in the screen. It's Jackie. Or the other one.
It's alive.
Good night. Good night, Jackie. Have a good one. But the nature of it
He had to
being
say
a
that.
radio. Okay, it's all good. Yeah, we had to heckle him from the screen here.
Been on the show,
But
so
the idea of this, yeah, there he is again. But the idea that this was a radio transmission and it was old with the copper and brass stuff all over it was so cool. It was haunted. It had something along with it. It was haunted. It came with it. And she had to get rid of that
Might have been
thing.
an owner that was very fond of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The house
They
was
would have been
copper.
extremely fond of that being new.
Yeah.
They would have
Oh
seen
man.
that as brand new the entire time they had the home.
Mm-hmm. And it was not new. It was in bad shape when I got to it.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, but I'm
It
talking
had
about
it
the
had been.
original owner would have had
Oh, I
that
know.
kind of feeling about it.
I totally get it. Yeah, they manifested what they see, what they know. They manifested it, and yeah, the capacitance
Yeah, the
traps
capacitors.
can
Capacitors
turn
are
things
Capacitors.
on and off
undercharged.
sometimes. Capacitors can turn things on and off sometimes. The big heavy mechanical switches less so, but there's always arcing. Okay, and
Mm.
a lot of those old systems don't have the shielding that we're used to, so they pick up random stuff in the air, like baby monitors, like microwaves, and things happen.
Right,
There's
right.
some grounding in the internal circuitry, all that stuff. But Joe, oh, okay, well,
Hmm.
Joe has been called away.
For a moment, anyway.
Hopefully, he didn't get a call. He knows what I'm talking about. He'll know
Yeah,
he'll remember it.
little
And we can't.
little golden doggy, maybe.
Oh boy. Yeah, we're going on 3 hours here on the
Yeah,
panel.
we are. We are.
Yeah, and we have okay. I have not said this in. If you're here, you're quantum. Hit like and subscribe. Obligatory post. Links in the description to everyone who has a show who is related to the show or mentioned hopefully will be mentioned later in the description. So yeah, okay, obligatory. And okay, it seems to be the thing to do on YouTube. If you want to help support the show, there's a link in or the PayPal to the show, and also buy me a coffee. If you would like to throw down a little bit of fundage for the show, it will go into things like better binoculars, more lasers, ghost hunting equipment, and
The
events
occasional trip into
attending.
the cemetery, huh?
Oh, not this one. I'll go to a cemetery, not this one. There are plenty of cemeteries. Pay for
There you
gas.
are.
There we. Yeah, there you go. Welcome back, Joe.
You see this
I
little
remember
wire
when
right there?
I remember those.
You see
Oh,
that
yeah.
little wire right there?
That's
Yeah.
the short.
That's to keep this thing from charging just from being out in the air.
Mm-hmm.
This thing can get 10,000 volts. And if you grab hold of that after it's sat out on a shelf or something, and you grab hold of that without that shorting strip being there, we may not be seeing you tomorrow.
Yeah, that is one of them lightning bolt makers. I remember when we picked up. Okay, and they're very heavy. They're all very heavy.
Notice.
Yeah.
That's one of them oil-filled one, right, Joe?
Oh, yeah. And it's the old type oil. You don't want to get it on your skin.
This stuff is caustic as hell.
Oh yeah.
And toxic.
But I remember when we picked up a whole truckload of those things at the radio auction. I didn't get a chance to use too many of them at all. I ended up giving them away to somebody else. Shame. But
So who made the rail gun?
A rail
I
gun?
promise it wasn't me. I promise it wasn't me. I am not dealing with rail guns.
I know nothing.
You know, everyone
nothing.
I've seen on YouTube is like, for the most part, just a glorified BB gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the Navy has one that you'd like to see.
They have
Right,
They have
right.
been
My
outfitting.
dad saw something like that when before I was born, which is, you know, a long time ago, folks. That they pointed it at a donkey, and the donkey just disappeared into a pink mist, as they say.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've had enough of pink mist.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted to use the time frame of, 50 plus years ago, things like that were in development.
Right.
So whatever
yeah.
you see on TV in your neighborhood, it's
It's
old
already old.
obsolete.
The Navy has been outfitting their ships with them now. They don't have one; they have an array of them now,
Yeah.
and they
Hundreds of
are scary.
vehicles.
Yeah, throwing Volkswagens at your neighbors.
Right. The one demo that I saw, it would propel a 2-foot iron rod spear
Mhm.
at Mach 2, I think, or Mach 1 point something. Maybe it was 1.2. I don't know. But it used electromagnetic propulsion in a kind of a cannon to where it would shoot that rod, and it was silent except for the shock wave that it left behind it.
Mhm.
Well, no, excuse me, shock wave in front, vacuum behind, and the sonic boom of it going by. I saw the demonstration at like 4,000 frames per second. That thing is scary. And this is 15 years ago that I saw that thing.
Wow.
But anyway,
we got the capacitors here for a pretty good size one.
yeah.
Not a cannon, but
Something.
7mm rifle would be hard pressed to keep up with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people have been
Wouldn't
making
blow the
now.
donkey away, but put a hole through it.
Right. The one Shadow was talking about, I have seen people do it with DeWalt batteries, and it's
Mhm.
not a BB gun. Okay, it's not. I know the one you're talking about. This thing shot either a 3-inch or 4-inch steel rods, like darts, and they weren't shaped a certain way other than being pointy. They didn't have fins on the back or anything like that. No fletching or anything. And of course, on the video, it failed. It caught on fire every time because they don't want to show that they already know how to do this in our backyards.
Mhm.
The concept is easy to talk about. The execution, not so easy to do. The sensors, everything has lag, and okay, real quick, as I understand it, you have the bar going through between. It's being attracted to magnets here, and now when it gets to the center, it reaches equilibrium. It uses. Here's what they do. It goes through here. It clicks a sensor right here, an infrared sensor, like on a mouse wheel. Okay, turns this off, and it goes to the next set of magnets where it uses the inertia of that bar along with the more magnetic attraction. Okay, and it
Mhm.
goes to the center, approaches equilibrium, turns the next sensor off, activates the next set of magnets, and it goes boom, 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 gaining momentum the whole time.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now that's a metal
Nathan,
bar, not a BB. Go ahead, Joe.
what happens when you energize a coil and then turn it off?
It retains a charge. Other than that,
No, that's a capacitor. A coil will flip to the opposite charge. So as
yes,
you're having your rod come through, you've got it being attracted. It's slightly magnetic. Okay, you've got your charge here that's attracting it, and as it gets through to here, it gets repulsed because your coil has just changed polarity,
yes,
and that's going to charge up the next one. And you do it instead of going with the LED timers and all that. I mean the sensors. You do it strictly by time because you're going to be much more accurate. And then instead of using relays like they used to use, you use electronic relays. So there's no lag. And yeah, you can greatly increase the output.
Okay, you heard it here on the Quantum Show. How to build a rail gun. This is common knowledge. You can Google it.
Right.
It's not. There's no big secret here.
There might be a little bit of
Hint.
if you scratched your head, you could figure out that the old technology is old and replace it with a few new things. And
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
for
the
your own.
ones I was talking about when I meant BB gun, I don't know what they were shooting, but the FPS is what I was talking about. Was not much, to be honest, was less than some high-powered pellet rifles.
Okay.
You mean
So like between
velocity, the
600
velocity of it.
feet per second. So like 800 to 1100 FPS. You can buy pellet rifles that can get up to like 14, I think maybe 1600 FPS, which is getting close to a 22, but not quite.
I don't know. I think some of them beat the 22, but that's all right.
Well, no, I mean the ones that I've seen on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean these are very expensive ones that you'd use for squirrel hunting and things like that. I've seen people
And
actually
I'm
shoot
using frames per second.
I've actually seen.
It's a joke.
Yes, it is. I've actually seen people use them on javelinas. So
Thank you.
Joe, you said use them on Halloween as what?
I've seen people use the new higher power CO2 charged
Mhm.
pellet rifles on javelinas successfully. But you know that
Javelina.
requires shot
Okay.
placement. Javelinas, right? That requires shot
Okay.
placement.
That's
Mhm.
doing something with a hog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For
Well,
those who don't know what a javelina is, it's a wild boar in
But it's used
well,
to
it's
the
in
southwest.
Texas. Yeah, it's in Texas right now, and some parts in New Mexico.
yeah.
And they
And
have
it
a
is a
thicker.
different species of wild boar. It's not like they have in Oklahoma, Pacific Northwest, or even here in Tennessee. It's a different species.
Hmm.
Smaller, meaner, tougher, keep you up in a tree for a few hours.
Yeah. Right. And they're crazy looking. They are
Oh, yeah.
crazy looking. Their heads are meant for gouging because they have these horns.
Yeah,
Their heads are meant for gouging.
yeah,
When I see a boar, their heads are meant for digging and ramming. These guys
yeah.
are meant for gouging. It's like
Uh-huh.
imagine a triceratops, okay, in pig
Well,
form.
those big,
There with four.
yeah, with those big incisors and in their mouth. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're truly frightening.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not afraid, you ought to be. And get wherever it is, go somewhere else.
You
Yeah.
don't want to try to pet one. If you try to pet one backwards, that fur is just nothing.
Yeah,
It's
it'll rip you.
porcupine quills. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll rip you up. It'll tear you up.
They're like fantasy horror. They
Hmm.
really are.
So they thought, well, what's the critter that they got and they turned loose in Louisiana?
Oh
Sort of a
yeah, that
really
rat.
large rodent.
Right.
The which one?
Okay.
Capybara?
It is huge.
No. It's a member of the rat family. They got it to eat the kudzu.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, they brought kudzu and didn't realize it was an invasive species. You know,
Mhm.
so they
Tim
decided
got
to
it.
compound their problem.
Nutria.
yeah, that's it. They're trying to convince
Tim
people
got it.
that they're trying to convince people. Thank you, Tim. They're trying to convince people that that's good to eat.
Yeah, they tried the same thing with kale. How far did that get them?
Yeah, I hate that stuff. Um, you know, I if you've ever seen what one of those creatures carries around just as a matter of course under a microscope, you wouldn't want anything to do with them. you know, I mean that's just on a good
Yeah, there
day.
ain't no proper cooking.
No,
Mm-hmm.
no, no. You throw it in the oven for about 5 days. When you're finished, you scrape it off in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
They
Okay,
look
and
like
welcome back to the Quantum Food Show, Nutria Casserole.
they look like
No.
beavers, and they are semi-aquatic.
Mm-hmm. Right. I've read a
Okay.
little bit about them.
That's about all I remember about them.
Okay,
I
well,
try not to
y'all,
remember.
we have reached the 3 hour mark, and we are no longer talking about ghost hunting, so I think it's time to call it. This has
But
been
it
the best
evolves to the food
show.
show.
Yeah.
Since the last
Next
show.
week, best show since the last show. Next week, quantum grilled cheese. All right. No, joking. But we never know. It could be,
But
right?
it will
We
be
never.
a cheese, or is it a petroleum product?
Only find out here. But okay, everybody,
That's it.
I'm going to go ahead and call it. Yeah. We've had 3 excellent hours of this panel. It has been, we have related everything to it, everything to back to the topic, except for, the last 5 minutes or so. But that was cool too. We covered haunted objects, haunted people, items
Haunted weapons?
cursed and blessed, whatever you may call it, right? Talked about the different technologies, how they're not so great, right?
Hmm.
We talked about pareidolia in visual context and
Oh,
audio
definitely.
context,
Remote viewing.
remote viewing, by location,
Man.
empathic awareness of these spirits a little bit. We touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Talked about, we should have gone over that a little bit more, but that's okay.
There's time.
We talked about next time we could do a continuation because announcement, next week's show is going to be Friday, not Saturday, because I've got to work. I said this earlier, but it needs to be repeated, and I'll set it up, and I've got to work, and that will be the last ghost show the last show of Ghost Month this time.
That'll
We
make
could-
it easier for us, huh, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, next
It's-
week's show is going to have to be on a Friday because I had to trade my schedule for this Saturday, and
Yeah.
I'll be announcing it and putting links and the deal.
Okay.
So covered
Well,
all
remember
the stuff. We
Desert
covered a bunch of
Shadow
hardware.
Temple? If you're out here in
Yes.
in El Paso or Las Cruces or Deming or Van Horn, you may want to come in and join us for our
I will leave a link to the Facebook group. Is that okay, Joe?
I don't think they can get into it.
Oh,
No.
right. It's approval only. Okay.
Yeah, it's a private.
But gotcha. Okay, well, it can be looked up. Google it. So
Right. And
yeah,
you
we
can
covered.
they can send a message to me, through my name, and then if we have an interview process.
Yeah, just in the 27th.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
Rich.
go through the interview
from GUFON.
process, and if you seem like you're happy with us and we're happy with you, you can come on and join us. All right, back to you, Nathan. The
Okay,
floor
thank
is
you.
yours.
And shout out to Rich from GUFON to get better soon. It's GUFON, not GUFON. We're the GUFAM, the fam. But shout out to Rich. Get better, man. Get better. The aliens are watching you. They want you to be
Again.
better too, because they want you to get the truth out there. And so the next show will be on the 27th, not the 28th, because work. What do you do? What are you going to do?
I'm gonna work.
Yeah. So we covered
It beats
all.
you.
Yeah, we
It
covered
gases
all
the
this
car.
topic. Yeah, it pays the bills. Got to do it. Sometimes it doesn't happen. A lot of times they like to keep a set schedule, but sometimes. But that's okay. Talked about the tools of ghost hunting: lasers, toy tanks, cameras, infrared, ultra. Well, we should have talked about ultraviolet and full spectrum, but we didn't because those are really expensive, and I don't have any of those. Talked about everything I got in my bag:
What's expensive
cameras,
about the ultraviolet?
audio, an ultraviolet camera. Well, a full spectrum camera, excuse me. Full spectrum. They're FLIR. FLIR is what I'm talking about. Forward looking infrared. Those are expensive.
That's infrared, not
And
ultraviolet.
they're not. Right. My bad. So, yeah, Doors. Got to pay for pizza pockets somehow. Even the store brand needs money. So, thanks everybody.
Nice.
Everybody have a
Nice.
great rest of the weekend, a great Sunday. And we're going to go ahead and cut it out and take it backstage at least for a few minutes.
Happy trails,
okay?
folks.
And
I'm not super tired right now. Yeah.
Happy Sun to anyone we miss. And have a blessed new year.
Yes. And everyone, have a good one. And remember, keep it quantum. Because if you're here, you're quantum. Now, pushing buttons. Pushing buttons.